Racing numbers are a massive thing for drivers these days. They can keep them for their entire career, and it can be the difference between a good brand or an awful design. Permanent numbers have been a thing since 2014, and in that time a lot of drivers have come and gone. So it's my job to inform you about every single driver to have used every single number in this not very long video at all. Don't worry if you don't have the time to watch it all in one go though, because I've added timestamps in the description if you want to pick up where you left off at a different time. Number 1. Sebastian Vettel. We start with Seb Vettel, as due to winning the title in 2013, he chose to keep the number 1 on his car. 4 straight seasons of dominance was ended by a Renault power unit that didn't work anymore, and a new young teammate who beat him consistently in the form of Daniel Ricciardo. Vettel had a rough year, with this one being the last time he ran with the number 1 and his last at Red Bull before he moved to Ferrari in 2015. In his 1 year with the number, he would race 19 times, winning no races, getting no poles, finishing on the podium 4 times and getting 167 points, with a best finish of 2nd at the 2014 Singapore Grand Prix. Number 1. Max Verstappen. Since controversially winning in 2021, Verstappen has not looked back, reclaiming the number year after year while breaking many records in the process. He managed 10 consecutive wins in 2023, breaking the record held by Vettel of 9, and won the most races in a single year with 19. Although that's kind of inflated by the amount of races there are nowadays. He's been a different beast since acquiring the number, but if Red Bull look anything like they did in 2024, 2025 could be the final year we see number 1 on Max Verstappen's car. In his 3 years with the number, he has started 68 races, winning 3 titles, 43 races, starting on pole 27 times, getting 52 podiums, and earning 1,466 points. Number 2. Stoffel Vandoorne. Vandoorne was a driver who was destined for the top in F1, and his junior career really reflected that. After starting karting at the age of 6, he would win a few championships before moving into cars in 2010. He would win the F4 Eurocup 1.6 championship in his first year, moving into the Formula Renault categories in Eurocup and 2.0, coming 3rd in the latter. The following year, he would win Formula Renault Eurocup. His talent was clear, and he signed with McLaren into their young driver program in 2013, and along with this, finished 2nd in his first season of Formula Renault 3.5. A graduation to GP2 followed, and he was once again on the pace immediately, finishing 2nd to experienced driver Jolyon Palmer. But the following year, he would dominate the series, winning 7 races and finishing 160 points ahead of 2nd place Rossi. He was hot property, but due to McLaren having their driver lineup confirmed for 2016, he would serve as their reserve driver as well as racing in Super Formula for a year. He did make his debut in 2016, but we'll get onto that later, and this, along with his stellar junior career, ensured he was promoted to the main team when Button left in 2017. For a driver as talented as Vandoorne, he was given an awful car to go with it, and had little chance to impress when his car was blowing up and had no speed. His first season ended with 1 did not start and 5 DNFs in 20 races, but he still managed 3 points finishes in the year. 2018 started out well as he scored points in 3 out of the first 4 races, and the car was noticeably better with the Renault engine in the back. But this form was short-lived, as he went until the 19th round before he scored points again. The car was not good, and it didn't help that he was up against Fernando Alonso, who completely destroyed him in their 2 years together. It was announced halfway through 2018 that Vandoorne would leave the team at the end of the year. He would continue in F1, but in reserve driver roles both with McLaren and Aston Martin, but it was his post-F1 career that really showed off his skills. Vandoorne would sign with Mercedes in their Formula E team and finish 2nd in his 2nd year in the series, winning the whole thing in 21-22. He has also competed in WEC alongside this, but saw little success outside of a 2nd place in class in 2021 and a 2nd and 3rd place finish at Le Mans. Unfortunately for Vandoorne, it was a case of being in the right place but at the wrong time, as no doubt he would have flourished in the McLaren from 2019 onwards. In his 2 years with the number, he started 40 races, getting 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums, and scoring 25 points with a best finish of 7th at the 2017 Singapore and Malaysian Grand Prix. He picked the number because it was the first number he had when he started racing in single-seaters. Number 2. Logan Sargent. The first American in the sport for 8 years definitely didn't live up to expectations. Sargent won 12 karting titles before moving into cars in 2016, where he finished 2nd in the Formula 4 UAE Championship, before moving back to Europe and competing in British F4, where he finished 3rd. Full-time seasons in Formula Renault Eurocup and Northern Europe followed, finishing 4th and 5th in those series, and he graduated to F3 with Carlin in 2019. He had an unremarkable season but showed his talent with a 3rd place at the Macau Grand Prix. Another season of F3 beckoned, and this time he managed to come 3rd in a highly competitive field, missing out on the title by 4 points to Oscar Piastri. He earned a promotion to F2 in 2022 and finished a strong 4th in his first year to earn the Williams signature once Latifi left at the end of the year. Expectations weren't high, but due to his strong junior career, I'm sure no one would have expected him to be as bad as he actually was. His first season would see him get beat by Albon in every qualifying session and score only 1 point as his teammate got 27, almost losing Williams 7th place in the constructors in the process. He ended up finishing 21st in the 20 driver championship in 2023, despite having the 7th best car. The following year, his confidence was shot, and this was evident when Williams took his car away from him just so Albon could race in Australia and maybe get some points for the team, after he had a big old crash in FP1. This example was really bad on the team, but using this as the sole reason for his failures in F1 is just straight delusional. He crashed too much, hence he won the Destructors Championship in 2023 and got approximately 347 track limit penalties, resulting in deleted laps in his F1 career. The guy just wasn't suited for F1, and that's fine. Following a massive crash in practice for the Dutch Grand Prix, Williams pulled the trigger and ended the Sergeant terrorism, electing for Williams Jr. Franco Colapinto in his place, who kept up the American's legacy near the end of the year with a few massive crashes as well. In his 2 years with the number, he started 36 races, getting 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums, and scoring only 1 point thanks to 2 drivers ahead of him getting disqualified at the 2023 United States Grand Prix. He originally wanted number 3, but due to that being taken by Daniel Ricciardo, changed to number 2 as he had used that number in a successful season of Formula Renault in his junior days. Number 3, Daniel Ricciardo. The Honey Badger has been in F1 since 2011, and so he was one of the many drivers who was around during the old number system. He had been teammates with Jean-Eric Vergne for 2 years and was deemed to be the more consistent of the two, and so was picked to join the senior team in 2014. From this year up until 2024, Ricciardo raced with the number 3, carving out a name for himself as one of the fastest drivers of the mid-2010s and the last of the late breakers. He finished 3rd in the standings in 2014 and 2016, but reached his prime right when the Mercedes was at its strongest and the Red Bull its weakest, leaving him as just that driver that occasionally won a race, amidst the Merc dominance. It's a shame his decline was pretty rapid, and his final few years in the sport definitely made people forget how good he once was, because damn was he quick on his day. In his 11 years with the number, he raced 208 times, claiming 8 memorable wins, starting on pole 3 times, standing on the podium 32 times, and earning 1,299 points. He picked the number due to him being a big fan of NASCAR and Dale Earnhardt. Number 4, Max Chilton. Max Chilton is definitely an F1 driver that has been completely forgotten to time. Chilton started out his car career in the T-Car Championship, coming 2nd in his 2nd year and performing alright in 3 seasons of British F3 before moving up to GP2. It's fair to say that GP2 in the early 2010s was pretty weak, and so with that, Chilton managed to finish 4th in 2012, which convinced backmarker team Marussia to sign him up for 2013. Definitely not because of his millionaire dad. He went on to finish every race in his rookie season, something that's never been done before by the way, which earned him an extension for 2014 where he would pick the number 4. He would not have a great 2nd year, once again being beaten by his teammate and not even being able to see out the year after Marussia went into administration with 3 races to go. He did not find a seat for 2015 and would go on to race in 6 seasons of IndyCar, finishing a best result of 11th in 2017. In his 1 year with the number, he started 16 races, getting 0 wins, poles, podiums and points, with a best finish of 13th at the 2014 Australian Grand Prix. He picked the number because it worked well with his name, coining the hashtag M4X. Could definitely go to court with that one. Number 4, Lando Norris. The half-British, half-Belgian driver has carved out a good career in F1 over his 6 years, although he's probably most remembered for his lowlights, mostly coming in 2024. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Lando finished 2nd as a rookie in a very competitive F2 field in 2018, earning himself a seat at McLaren for 2019 and beyond. He impressed immediately, qualifying in 8th place at the first race of 2019 as his teammate started 18th. Since his debut, he has been steadily improving, and when given a good car in 2024, showed he could win races, but also that he still has a long way to go in the mental game. In his 6 years with the number, he started 128 races, picking up 4 wins, starting on pole 9 times, and standing on the podium 26 times, earning 1,007 points. He originally wanted number 46 because Valentino Rossi was his idol, but didn't want to come across as a copycat, opting for number 4. It also fit nicely into his logo, cementing his decision. Number 5, Sebastian Vettel. Hot off the back of a bad year for him in 2014, Vettel found new life in Maranello at Ferrari, where he would stay with the team until 2021, contesting Hamilton for 2 titles in that time frame. Ferrari and Vettel collectively made a lot of mistakes, and that led to him never getting that 5th title that he kinda deserved. But he did have many memorable drives for the team before leaving for Aston Martin. He had an alright few years, but it was clear the fire was slowly dying, as he even lost to Lance Stroll, which left him no choice but to retire and become a beekeeper or something like that. In his 8 years with the number, he started 299 races, won 0 titles but got 14 race wins, started on pole 12 times, stood on the podium 56 times, and earned 1,480 points. He chose the number 5 both because of his success with it in karting and also because he won the 2010 championship with it. Number 5. Gabriel Bortoleto. Bortoleto will compete in F1 in 2025 for Sauber after going back-to-back in F3 and F2, winning both championships in his rookie year. He's managed by Fernando Alonso and is the first full-time Brazilian in the sport since Felipe Massa in 2017. He could be a very good talent in the making, but that is if Sauber can fix their god-awful car. He picked number 5 as a direct nod to Vettel, who he considers a role model. Number 6. Nico Rosberg. After starting out in F1 with Williams and getting the call from Mercedes in 2010 when they rejoined F1, Rosberg entered 2014 with a lot of experience and his first taste of a dominant car. Against friend and rival Lewis Hamilton, the two battled for 3 titles as the Mercedes cleared the rest of the field by over a second at times. He got unlucky with the reliability in 2014, was beaten comfortably in 2015, and then went and won the title in 2016, albeit Lewis bore the brunt of the reliability in this year and their mechanics were swapped around. This doesn't take anything away from his title win though, as it was deserved for a driver who had been in the sport for so many years and put in the work to beat a driver as good as Hamilton. He would subsequently retire from the sport, having accomplished his dream, and became the first champion to not defend his crown since Alain Prost in 1993. In his 3 years with the number, Rosberg started 59 Grand Prix, winning 1 title and 20 races, getting 26 poles, 46 podiums, and scoring 1,024 points. He chose number 6 because his father Keke used to race with it, and he actually won his single title while using it. He and his wife both considered it to be a lucky number, and thus, Keke and Nico became just the second father and son duo to both win a world championship. Number 6. Nicholas Latifi. Latifi entered F1 in 2020 as the saviour of Williams after they had a few bad years and encountered heavy financial issues. Latifi is the son of Michael Latifi, the CEO of food manufacturer company Safina, and so this was the perfect recipe to make it into F1, as his signature reportedly generated $30 to $40 million in funding, both from Safina, Lavazza, and the Bank of Canada. He was a pay driver, but at least he had some good results in his junior career with the second place in F2 2019. His first season in the sport was alright, but nothing special. He didn't score a point, and the car definitely didn't help that, but he would have finished ahead of highly rated teammate George Russell in the standings had he not drove for Mercedes in a one-off race at the Sakhir Grand Prix. He built on this in his second year, achieving 2-point scoring finishes and handing Max Verstappen the title in the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix after spinning out late and causing a safety car. He came back for one more year in 2022, but it was clear that the death threats and the abuse he had received after AD21 had taken a toll on him, as he crashed less but also had a lot less pace. He subsequently retired from F1 after 2022 and went off to study for an MBA at the London Business School. In his 3 years of the number, Latifi started 61 Grand Prix, getting no wins, poles or podiums, and scoring 9 points with a best finish of 7th at the 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix. He chose the number 6 as it is a nod to his home city, Toronto, which is nicknamed The Six. He also drove the number on his way to 2nd in the F2 Championship in 2019. Number 6. Isaac Hadjar. After moderate success in karting, Hadjar would progress to single-seaters in 2019, finishing 3rd in the 2020 French F4 Championship and then repeating this result in the Formula Regional Asian Championship in 2022, alongside a season of F3 where he finished 4th. This would earn him a promotion to F2 in 2023, and after a mediocre rookie year with high-tech, a move to Campos set the stage for a great title fight with Gabriel Bortoleto, missing out on the win by over 20 points after he stalled on the line in the final race. With Liam Lawson being promoted to the Red Bull main team, Hadjar was given a chance in the sister team driving alongside Tsunoda in 2025, and looks to be a Yuki V2 with his swearing antics and raw talent. He chose the number 6 as he used it a lot in his karting days. Number 7. Kimi Räikkönen. Off the back of a few good years for Lotus in his comeback to F1, Kimi rejoined Ferrari in 2014 to an awful car. In that Ferrari car, he had one of his more disappointing seasons in 2014, following it up with a better performance in 2015 and a highest finish of 3rd in the standings in his second Ferrari stint, winning his final race at the United States Grand Prix in 2018. Following this season, he would swap seats with Charles Leclerc at Sauber, finishing his career at the team he started out with. Kimi definitely lost some pace in the final few years of his career, and that wasn't helped by Ferrari constantly using him to aid teammate Vettel, and doing that pretty poorly. In his 8 years with the number, Kimi started 159 Grand Prix, and in that time won 1 race, started on pole twice, stood on the podium 26 times, and scored 904 points. He chose the number 7 because it was what he ran with in 2013 with Lotus, and felt no need to change it. He did want number 6 after he won the title in 2007 with it, but figured Rosberg would want it after his father won the championship with it. Number 7, Jack Doohan. Jack Doohan is the son of 5-time motorcycle champion Mick Doohan. Jack graduated to single-seaters in 2018, finishing 2nd in the Asian F3 Championship before moving to the main F3 series. He would score 0 points and lose out to both of his teammates in this year, before finishing 2nd in the same championship the following year, finishing behind Dennis Hauger by 26 points. This earned him a spot in F2 in 2022, where he finished 6th in the standings, before taking 3rd in the 2023 edition. He served as Alpine's test and reserve driver in 2023 and 2024, and got the seat for 2025 after Ocon was announced to be leaving the team for Haas. He faces considerable pressure in 2025 as Colapinto waits in the wings for Alpine, and he is hoping he can recreate Kimi's career with number 7. He's pretty good around Spa, so he's already got that bit down. He initially wanted number 12, but as that was taken already, he settled for number 7 as he had driven with it before. Number 8, Romain Grosjean. After Nelson Piquet Jr. was sacked halfway through the 2009 season, Romain Grosjean would be given the seat, although he definitely wasn't ready for it as he scored no points and got himself in a few accidents. This would however give him the chance to take a step back into GP2, where he would win the title in 2011, earning a seat with Lotus. 2012 and 2013 were both great years for him despite the crashes and the race bans, and going into 2014, he was definitely ready to lead the team. This year would be an awful one though for Lotus, as their Renault engine wasn't up to scratch anymore. A switch to Mercedes power helped Lotus reclaim some of their performance, but a single podium at the 2015 Belgian Grand Prix was all they had to show for it. Then in 2016, Grosjean joined the startup team Haas, where he would race until he retired from the sport after a fiery crash in Bahrain left him with severe burns on his hands in 2020. Grosjean spent most of his time with number 8 in the midfield due to the machinery he drove, but proved himself once again as a very capable driver in that part of the grid, although the crashes and accidents never left, right up until his final lap in F1. In his 7 years with the number, he would win no races, start on pole 0 times, stand on the podium once, and score 163 points, with a best finish of 3rd at the 2015 Belgian Grand Prix. He chose the number 8 as it holds sentimental value to him, as his wife was born on the 8th of December and they met in 2008. He would score 8 points in 2014. Number 9, Marcus Ericsson. Marcus Ericsson was actually pretty decent in his earlier junior career, winning the Formula BMW Championship in 2007 and finishing 4th in the Macau Grand Prix in 2009. He could only manage a highest finishing position of 6th in GP2 after 4 seasons before Caterham signed him up to a race seat in F1 in 2014. His first year in F1 was a learning lesson, as he was never going to score points in that backmarker team, but did manage an 11th place. After the team went into administration at the end of 2014, he terminated his contract with Caterham and signed for Sauber for 2015. The car was decent in his first year, but he was beaten heavily by his teammate. In 2016, the team regressed and was struggling financially, but when Felipe Nasr scored the team's only points of the year to take them into prize money positions, Marcus Ericsson kept his seat despite getting no points, and it would be Nasr that got replaced. He would then finish behind his teammate in 2017 and keep his seat again, before finally being finished off by Charles Leclerc in 2018. His Swedish backing had run out and he couldn't find a seat on the grid for 2019, leading him to move to IndyCar and even winning the Indy 500. Ericsson was clearly not an awful driver, but he definitely overstayed his welcome and cost 2 promising young drivers their career in F1. In his 5 years with the number, he got 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums, and 18 points with a best finish of 8th at the 2015 Australian Grand Prix. He chose number 9 simply because he liked it. It may also have been because his teammate in 2014, Kobayashi, picked 10, and so they would have consecutive numbers. Number 9, Nikita Mazepin. Yeah, this probably has to be the worst number in terms of who's used it. Although Mazepin is one of the more hated drivers F1 has had, you can't say he didn't have at least a decent junior career. It started off slow for him, finishing 20th in the F3 Championship in 2016, followed by a 10th place the next year. But in 2018, under the GP3 moniker, Mazepin managed to finish in 2nd place behind Antoine Hubert, and won the most races out of anyone in the series. With this strong season, he translated this into an 18th place finish in F2 in 2019, before following that up with a solid 5th in 2020. Although Ilott finished ahead of him in the standings and almost won the whole thing, Mazepin's 5th place was enough to convince Haas, and it definitely wasn't because his dad was a Russian oligarch who owned Uralkali. Either way, his F1 debut was not a sight to behold, spinning in qualifying and then surviving 3 corners before retiring on the first lap. He would go on to be comfortably beaten by his teammate, make enemies with every driver on the grid, and ended up finishing 21st in the 20 driver championship. He was contracted to race for 2022, but due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Haas fired him, and he he now has been left to rot in the racing categories of rich kids. In his 1 year with the number, Mazepin started 22 races and got 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums and 0 points, with a best finish of 14th at the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He chose number 9 because we don't know. He never actually stated why he chose it, so my best guess is that his idol was Marcus Ericsson, and his driving definitely reflected that. Number 10. Kamui Kobayashi. Kobayashi rose to prominence in the early 2010s, becoming a favourite among F1 fans for his aggressive driving style and ridiculous overtakes. After Glock was injured at the end of the 2009 season, Kobayashi was given a chance in F1, and he took it, earning a seat with Sauber in 2010 when Toyota pulled out of the sport. He remained there until the end of the 2012 season before being dropped for Esteban Gutierrez. He took a year out in 2013 to try and get a good seat in 2014, and the result of that was Caterham. His comeback started off awfully, as at the first corner of the first race, he crashed into Massa and retired. It wouldn't get much better for him this year, as Caterham will finish dead last in the standings and fall into administration with 3 races to go. He would take part with the team in their crowd-funded race at Abu Dhabi, but unfortunately for Kamui, he would never race in F1 again. Since that awful final year, Kobayashi has found success in WEC, winning the championship twice and winning Le Mans in 2021. In his 1 year with the number, Kobayashi started 16 races, getting 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums and 0 points, with a best finish of 13th at the 2014 Malaysian and Monaco Grand Prix. Like Mazepin, he never gave a specific reason for choosing number 10 other than the fact that it is a good looking number and is associated with good performance in sport. It could have also been because it was on his car in 2009 when he made his debut in F1. Number 10. Pierre Gasly. Gasly has been in F1 for years now, and he's still going stronger than ever in the Alpine team. After enjoying success in the Junior Series, winning Formula Renault Eurocup, coming second in Formula Renault 3.5 and then winning the GP2 Series in 2016, Gasly was given a chance in Toro Rosso at the back end of the 2017 season. He didn't have much time, only making 5 starts, but would be given a full-time drive in 2018 where he really shone. He would only score points 5 times this year, but with an amazing 4th in Bahrain and a 6th in Hungary, Red Bull were convinced and signed him to the main team in 2019. There, he unfortunately drowned to the pressure of being Max Verstappen's teammate and was dropped back down to the sister team at mid-season. There, he flourished once again, getting a 2nd place in Brazil and then following that up with a win in Monza the following year. He would then have arguably his best year in F1 in 2021, getting 110 points for the sister team, while his teammate got 32 and would move to Alpine in 2023. He would keep picking up podiums and good results there, both in 2023 and 2024, finishing best of the rest in the latter, and is set to be the clear number 1 in the team going into 2025. In his 8 years with the number, he started 153 races, winning 1 race, getting 0 poles, standing on the podium 5 times, and scoring 436 points. He chose number 10 due to its connection to Zinedine Zidane, a footballer who Pierre idolised growing up. Number 11, Sergio Perez. When 2014 rolled around and it was time to pick your numbers in F1, Sergio Perez had already been on a roller coaster of a career. After finishing runner-up in the GP2 series in 2010 to Pastor Maldonado, he would earn a seat with Sauber in 2011, but impressed more in the 2012 season, getting 3 podiums while showing a lot of potential. This was enough for McLaren, who he signed for in 2013, but it didn't work out. The team was slowly declining and his over-aggressive driving style did not transfer well to the new car, and so he was dropped at the end of the year and joined Force India for 2014. At his new team, he would become a cornerstone of their rise to becoming the best midfield team, and he drove with them up until the end of the 2020 season, where he won his first race after 190 starts. He had done enough to earn another chance at a top seat, and so Red Bull signed him up to add some stability to their 2nd driver spot. There, he would have a mixed few seasons, winning races and finishing 2nd in the Drivers' Championship, but ultimately regressing incredibly quickly in 2024, leading to his sacking at the end of the year. In his 11 years with the number 11, he started 227 races, winning 6 times, starting on pole 3 times, standing on the podium 36 times, and scoring 1,509 points. He chose number 11 because of footballer Ivan Zamorano, who wore it while playing for the team Perez supports, Club America. Number 12, Felipe Nasr. Nasr had a decent junior career, spending 3 years in GP2, finishing 10th, 4th and then 3rd in 2014. This and his nice banquet to Brazil backing convinced Sauber for 2015. But Nasr entered F1 into a whirlwind of chaos. He was a part of an ongoing legal dispute between Guido van der Garde and Sauber, as they had signed 3 drivers to compete in their 2 cars, and the Dutch driver wasn't having it. The team almost didn't make it to the grid in the first race of 2015 due to this legal battle, but thankfully they did, because Nasr would go on to have have a historic debut. In his first race, he qualified 10th, but would go on to finish 5th, the highest for a Brazilian driver on their debut ever, as he held off Daniel Ricciardo for the whole race and even finished on the lead lap. This was a great start, and for the most part, 2015 was a great season. He would score 27 points for the team, finishing 13th in the standings, but 2016 would be a lot worse. The team was suffering thanks to the Van der Garde lawsuit, and so were 11th for most of the season behind Manor. But luckily for them, Nasser would score 2 crucial points in his home race to take them above Manor and keep them above the red. But even though Nasser had saved the team, Sauber still fired him, and not teammate Ericsson, who kept his drive despite being beaten in both their years as a duo. Nasser was touted to drive for Manor in 2017 and reportedly had a contract with them, but after his miracle drive in Brazil, the team claimed no prize money and fell into administration at the end of the year. Nasser would never race in Formula 1 again. He would find success in IMSA, however, winning 3 titles, getting second 1 time, and winning the Daytona 24 Hours in 2024 and 2025. Unfortunately for his career in F1, he was just one of the many victims of Marcus Ericsson, but at least was able to pave the way for a good career in other forms of motorsport. In his 2 years with the number, he started 40 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 29 points with a best finish of 5th at the 2015 Australian Grand Prix. He never gave a reason for choosing number 12, but given Senna drove with that number and won a title with it in the 80s, it's not a bad idea to assume that was why he picked it. Number 12, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. The journey of this guy has been pretty meteoric. After walking most karting championships in his early years, he would keep up that form into single-seaters, winning the Italian ADAC Formula 4 Championship in 2022. With more title wins in Formula Regionals in the Middle East and Italy, Antonelli skipped F3 and went straight to F2. There he had a shaky year, but ultimately finished 6th in a decent showing, winning 2 races. With his young age and seemingly endless potential, Toto Wolff saw a Max Verstappen situation unfolding and signed him to an F1 seat after just 1 season of F2. He might flourish, he might fail, we don't really know. Antonelli is definitely an unknown in F1. He chose the number both because he won some titles in 2022 and 2023 with it, but also because his idol, Senna, drove with it in the 80s and even won his first title with it in 1988. I think he's just a closeted Felipe Nasr fan though, but that's just my personal opinion. He also ran with the number in 2 practice sessions with Mercedes in 2024, but we don't need to go over those because they weren't great. Number 13, Pastor Maldonado. Although Maldonado has become a meme and a cult hero among F1 fans, this guy was actually a decent driver. Pastor drove in GP2 for 4 years before finally winning it in 2010, from which point Williams signed him. As well as being a very quick driver, he also bought the backing of Venezuela, and so this was a no-brainer for the team, even though he'd only scored 1 point in 2011. In 2012 though, the unthinkable happened. Pastor won a Grand Prix, as in Spain, everything clicked and he made no mistakes, leading to a historic race for both team and driver. He would follow this up with 1 point in 2013 before moving to Lotus for 2014. There, the car was uncompetitive again, but a switch from Renault to Mercedes power brought them up the grid in 2015. At the end of the year, his backing had run out, and as Lotus became Renault in 2016, they did not renew Maldonado's contract, leaving him without a drive. After 2 years of being a test driver for Pirelli, he would join WEC in the LMP2 class, finishing 3rd at the championship and 5th in Le Mans in 2018. This was as good as it got for him post F1, as he would not race again after 2019. In his 2 years with the number, Maldonado started 38 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 29 points with a best finish of 7th at the 2015 Canadian, Austrian, and Russian Grand Prix. He never gave a reason for choosing number 13, but it could be either as a joke, as years of superstition have led to drivers being scared of the unlucky number, or because he wanted to break the mold and show that it's literally just a number and there's nothing to be afraid of. Number 14, Fernando Alonso. Do we really need to intro this guy? Fernando Alonso is arguably one of the quickest drivers that has ever been in F1, and definitely in my generation. He had already been through many wars when permanent numbers became a thing in 2014, winning 2 titles against the likes of Schumacher and Raikkonen, and narrowly missing out on 3 in 2007, 2010 and 2012. But it was in 2014 where things started to take a turn for the worst. Although Alonso had not lost any of his speed, his machinery would be his biggest enemy, somehow managing 6th place in the championship in that awful 2014 Ferrari car, before moving to McLaren Honda in one of the worst partnerships in the modern era. The car was slow on the straights, unreliable and hard to drive, and Fernando was hating it, eventually retiring in 2018 with aims to go and win the Triple Crown of Motorsports. But surprisingly, in 2021, Alonso came back to the sport with Alpine and showed why he's one of the best to ever do it. He had lost none of his pace and continued with the team until Vettel retired in 2022, leaving him to join another team in Aston Martin. His first season there was a revelation, finishing 4th in the standings before having a more disappointing campaign in 2024. In his 11 years with the number, he has started 187 races, winning 0, starting on pole 0 times, standing on the podium 11 times, and scoring 731 points, with a best finish of second at the 2014 Hungarian and 2024 Monaco, Canadian and Dutch Grand Prix. He chose number 14 because when he was 14 years old, on the 14th of July, with the go-kart number 14, he won the Karting World Championship. Number 15 has not been used in F1, and so we move to number 16, Charles Leclerc. Godson of the late Jules Bianchi, Leclerc was born and raised in Monaco. After a successful karting career, the switch to cars was just as good. He would finish second in the Formula Renault 2.0 Alps Series in 2014 and then come fourth in the F3 Championship in 2015, finishing second in Macau. Moving to GP2 in 2016, Leclerc would win the whole thing before dominantly winning F2 the next year in 2017 with back-to-back rookie wins. As a member of the Ferrari Driver Academy, he was signed to the Sauber team for 2018 alongside Marcus Ericsson. He was expected to beat Ericsson, but thanks to the car being a lot better than in previous years, he destroyed him, grabbing multiple 7th place finishes across the year and finishing 13th in the standings. This was enough to convince Ferrari halfway through the year that he was the next best thing, and so they forced Raikkonen out to Sauber, with Leclerc being promoted to a top seat. There, he would show up his teammate Vettel, finishing above him in the standings and winning 2 races, including a very memorable one at Monza in front of the Tifosi. Just ignore their illegal engine, it's still a great win. The next year would be worse, as Ferrari built their worst car in years due to the illegal engine cop-out, but Leclerc would still get 2 podiums despite this. In 2021, he led most of the race at Silverstone before eventually finishing second, and in 2022, the first quarter of the year could have been the start of the title fight. But mistakes from him and a lot from Ferrari scuppered this, and he was left to finish second once again. In 2023, Red Bull were very dominant, and in 2024, he managed to finally break the curse and win the Monaco Grand Prix, and also won in Monza for the second time as a Ferrari driver. It's been a great career so far, and Charles is still only 27. In his 7 years with the number, he has started 147 races, winning 8 times, starting on pole 26 times, standing on the podium 43 times, and scoring 1,430 points. He originally wanted number 7, but due to Raikkonen taking that number, he used his birthday, the 16th, as his number, reasoning that 1 plus 6 equals 7. Number 17, Jules Bianchi. The story of Bianchi is a tragic story that was sadly cut short 10 years ago. Bianchi became the first driver to join the Ferrari Academy in 2009 and was actually linked with the second seat when Massa had to sit out the rest of the season due to his Hungary incident, but it was instead given to longtime test driver Luca Badoa. In his junior career, he won the French Formula Renault Championship in 2007, came first in the Euro Formula 3 series in 2009, and graduated to GP2 in 2010. There, he would finish third twice before coming second in the 2012 Formula Renault 3.5 series, where back Marco Marussia would sign him to a seat in 2013, and as reward would get Ferrari engines for the year. Although teammate Chilton finished every race in 2013, Bianchi was much better than him, out-qualifying him in all but 2 races, and finishing as the best driver out of the back marker teams. This would give him good credit going into 2014, and he duly showed that, earning his and the team's first points in F1 at the incredibly chaotic Monaco Grand Prix, making dodgy overtakes and finishing 8th on the road and 9th after penalties were applied. As the season neared its end, F1 would travel to Suzuka in the midst of a 150-mile-per-hour typhoon, and this led to many dominoes falling at the race. The race began in heavy standing water conditions and was red flagged 2 laps in after running behind the safety car, before being restarted 20 minutes later, still behind the safety car. By this time, conditions had improved slightly and the safety car was called in at the end of lap 9, allowing for some actual racing. After most of the race was completed in intermediate conditions, heavy rain began to fall on lap 36 and got worse as the race continued, with visibility also becoming an issue due to the fading light and low clouds. On lap 42, Adrian Sutil aquaplaned into the barriers at turn 7, with his car being recovered by a tractor crane. The safety car was not deployed, with double wave yellows being shown at the corner instead. 1 lap later, Bianchi entered the same corner and aquaplaned off track as well, this time directly into the crane. Bianchi was unconscious after the accident and was unable to be taken by helicopter to a hospital due to the poor weather, and so was transported via ambulance. Bianchi was diagnosed with a diffuse axonal injury and entered an induced coma. In November, he was breathing unaided and therefore was moved back home to Nice. After progress had initially looked promising, Bianchi remained in a critical condition until he passed on the 17th of July 2015, 9 months after his accident. It was announced after his death by Luca Montezemolo that Bianchi was the designated replacement for Kimi Raikkonen when his contract ran out in 2015. His death led to many changes, including the introduction of the virtual safety car, the rule that a session can only go ahead if conditions are suitable for flying for the emergency helicopter, and was a victim of a string of incidents that led to the FIA creating the Halo, which itself has saved many lives, including his godson Charles Leclerc and more notably Romain Grosjean. As a mark of respect to Bianchi, his number was retired and remains the only number to be forbidden from choice, apart from number 1 of course. Jules raced with number 17 for 2 years, and in that time started 34 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and 2 points, with a best finish of 9th at the 2014 Monaco Grand Prix. He originally wanted 7, but that was taken by Raikkonen, 27, but that was taken by Hülkenberg, and 77, but that was taken by Bottas, and so settled on 17, a number that will never be forgotten in F1. And just a side note, anyone who thinks Raikkonen or Vettel's numbers should be retired because of what they achieved in their career is just stupid. Retired numbers in F1 are very different to the ones in the likes of football or basketball and should only come with a very good reason. Vettel never even won a title after 2015 when he actively selected number 5, so why should it be retired when he won all his titles before that? Anyways, we'll move on to the next number. Number 18. Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll is best known for being son of multi-billionaire Lawrence Stroll and is also a window licker, according to Rocket Powered Mohawk. Luckily for Lawrence, his son wasn't actually that bad of a junior driver. As he graduated into single-seaters in Europe, he would win Italian F4 in 2014 and come first in the 2015 Toyota Racing Series before his crowning achievement, dominating and winning the 2016 F3 title. As an 18-year-old, Stroll was signed by Williams after Bottas left for Mercedes, but things would not start well. He retired in his first 3 races and didn't score a point until the 7th race in Canada, before popping up with a crazy result in Baku. After an incredibly chaotic race, Stroll ended up finishing in 3rd and was almost 2nd after being passed on the line by Bottas. This made him the 2nd youngest driver to ever finish on the podium and made his season look a whole lot better by the end. He would score points 5 more times in his rookie campaign and ended up finishing 3 points behind Massa. This would be the last year of a slightly competitive Williams though, as 2018 would only give Stroll 2 point scoring finishes. His best season would come in 2020 in the Tracing Point, with him owning 2 podiums and a pole position at Turkey in a race that he should have won. From here on out, he's raced for Aston Martin, beating an aging Vettel and being destroyed by Alonso in their 2 years together as teammates. In his 8 years with the number, Stroll has started 166 races, winning 0 times, getting 1 pole position, standing on the podium 3 times, and scoring 292 points with a best finish of 3rd at the 2017 Azerbaijan and the 2020 Italian and Sakir Grand Prix. He chose the number because he is superstitious and won titles with it in F4 and F3. Number 19, Felipe Massa. Teammate of Lance Stroll in his debut season, Felipe Massa was nearing the end of his career when permanent numbers became a thing in 2014. In his 11-year career up to that point, he had raced with Ferrari and Sauber, winning all of his races between 2006 and 2008, where he narrowly missed out on the title in the latter. After an awful accident in 2009, he was sidelined until the start of the next season and was never the same once he came back. He was off the pace compared to his new teammate Alonso, and this was very evident in his last 2 years with Ferrari before he moved to Williams. He stumbled on a team on the rise though, as due to their Mercedes engines, Williams were a front-running outfit, finishing 3rd in 2014 and 15. This led to a slight resurgence in form, scoring podiums in 14 and 15, but they would dry up in 16 and 17 as the Williams slowly returned to the midfield. He would try and retire in 2016, but after the Rosberg retiring fiasco and Bottas moving to Mercedes in 2017, Massa stuck around for another year, retiring at the end of that season. In his 4 years with the number, he started 79 races, winning 0 times, getting 1 pole, standing on the podium 5 times and scoring 351 points with a best finish of 2nd at the 2014 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He chose the number because his uncle had used it when he raced and Massa used it in karting. Number 20, Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen was one of 2 rookies to start the 2014 season, and you could argue that it was probably his best one. After coming 2nd in British Formula 3 in 2011, he would come 7th before winning the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship in 2013, earning a seat with McLaren after Perez was sacked. For 2014, McLaren would have a competitive car, mainly because of the Mercedes engine in the back of it, and so Magnussen would have a good car straight away, showing this off by qualifying in 4th with his team at 11th in his debut race. In the race, Hamilton and Vettel both retired early on with mechanical failures, and Massa Massa was hit by Kobayashi, leaving Magnussen to finish third on the road before being promoted to second when Ricciardo was disqualified ahead of him. This capped off a brilliant debut and the eventual peak of his career. An alright season followed in 2014 with Magnussen getting caught up in incidents but definitely showing good potential. But his lack of experience led to him getting replaced by Fernando Alonso for 2015, where he would become reserve driver before moving to Renault in 2016. The team was a shit show and Magnussen didn't like how they were run, moving teams again to Haas in 2017. He would stay there until 2020, leaving the team at the end of the season before being drafted back in to replace Mazepin when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, adding a pole position to his stat line near the end of the year. He would stay with the team until 2024, where he retired for the second time and left F1 in a much better place than when he did in 2020. In his 10 years with the number, Magnussen started 185 races, getting no wins, 1 pole, 1 podium and scoring 202 points with the best finish of second at the 2014 Australian Grand Prix. He chose number 20 because he won the title with it in the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Number 21, Esteban Gutierrez. After a pretty awful first year in F1 with Sauber, Gutierrez had something to prove in his second year against Sutil. 2014 saw the worst Sauber car of all time, and with that, he scored 0 points, finishing behind Sutil and helping the team finish behind Marussia in the standings. He was dropped for 2015, with him becoming Ferrari reserve, aiming for a seat in 2016, and when Haas came along, as a deal with Ferrari, they gave him a drive just so they could have a decent engine in the car. He would go on to show just why he had been dropped for 2015, scoring no points as Grosjean got 29, and would unsurprisingly lose his seat for 2017, never racing in F1 again. In his 2 years with the number, he started 40 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and no points, with the highest finish of 11th at the 2016 Spanish, Monaco, Austrian, German and Singapore Grand Prix. He chose the number because it was his lucky number. It was also the age that he was when he made his debut in Formula 1. Number 21, Nick de Vries. After a brilliant debut at late notice with Williams in 2022, Red Bull went against their usual code and signed Mercedes junior Nick de Vries for a full-time seat in 2023 at AlphaTauri. With a good junior career and years of testing with Mercedes, expectations were high for de Vries, but with their 2023 car being very bad and Nick not being much better, it did not go well at all, being replaced 2 races before the summer break for a Daniel Ricciardo aiming to rebuild his career. In his 1 year with the number, he would start 10 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and no points, with the highest finish of 12th at the 2023 Monaco Grand Prix. He originally wanted number 17 as he had used it in Formula E, but changed to 21 as obviously that's been retired. Number 22, Jenson Button. Button had been with McLaren since winning the title with Brawn in 2009 and stayed loyal to them as we moved into a new regulation change in 2014. As for the 2014 car, it was actually pretty decent and Button managed to beat his rookie teammate before beating Alonso in 2015 and then losing in 2016. These weren't fights for the title though, but instead for some of the lowest points paying positions, and with his pace definitely dwindling, Button became reserve driver in 2017, taking over for Alonso at one race when he went off to IndyCar. This was a disastrous return as he would crash with Pascal Wehrlein late on in the race and retire due to the damage, receiving a 3-place grid drop which he is still yet to serve. In his 4 years with the number, he would start 60 races, getting no wins, no poles, 1 podium and 163 points, with the highest finish of 3rd at the 2014 Australian Grand Prix. He chose the number because it was what he won the title with in 2009. Number 22, Yuki Tsunoda. The first full-time Japanese driver in F1 since 2014 came in 2021 with Yuki Tsunoda. After winning 3 Japanese F4 titles in 3 successive years, he moved to Europe, competing in the Euro Formula Open and F3 championships. Despite finishing 9th in the standings in his first year there and coming in 11th place at Macau, Tsunoda earned himself a spot in F2 after a decent season in the Toyota Racing Series. There, he would finish 3rd in his rookie season behind Schumacher and Eilert, and Red Bull were convinced enough to put him in the AlphaTauri for 2021. The first driver born in the 21st century to race showed potential and had the raw pace, but was very erratic and incredibly sweary on the radio. And while his teammate had one of the best midfield team seasons in recent history, he crashed a lot and only scored 32 points to Gasly's 110. As the seasons progressed, Tsunoda improved and would peak in 2024, performing very well for the B team, but being snubbed by Red Bull for Liam Lawson. He's set to race once again for the B team in 2025, and he's definitely earned his place on the grid in F1. In his 4 years with the number, he started 87 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 91 points with a best finish of 4th at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He initially wanted number 11 as he had used it in his karting days, but due to Perez already using it, he just doubled the number, resulting in 22. Number 23, Alex Albon. Albon's entry into F1 should never even have happened back in 2019, but thank God it did. After dominating in karts, he wouldn't win as much in cars, but would still finish high in the junior categories, coming second in the Formula Renault Euro Cup in 2014 and second in the GP3 series in 2016. After a 10th place in the 2017 F2 Championship, he would finish third the following year, turning many eyes. Leading into the 2019 year, Albon signed with Formula E team Nissan Dams and looked to have his future in motorsport settled, but in November of 2018, they terminated his contract after rumours he was about to sign with Toro Rosso for 2019. He used to be part of the Red Bull family, but after a shaky start in cars, he was released. But after rebuilding his career with the results I've already mentioned, they backtracked and signed him to an F1 seat. He started off decently, scoring his first points in his second race before having a massive crash in practice for the Chinese Grand Prix. But after starting from the pit lane, Albon would recover to 10th place, turning the heads of F1 fans and earning the Driver of the Day award in the 1000th Grand Prix. Red Bull had seen enough after 12 races, and after Gasly was underperforming, they swapped the two around, giving Albon a top seat after just half a year in the sport. He had a very good second half of the year and earned a contract renewal for 2020, but it would not get much better for him. After Hamilton robbed Albon of a podium in Brazil 2019 and a win in the first race of 2020, his confidence was shot, and being beaten by Max took its toll, often finishing down in the lower midfield places where Gasly was in 2019. He would be dropped for 2021 to a third driver role, ending a rollercoaster 2-year career. But Albon was not out, as in 2022, Williams took him on as they entered a new era where they didn't need two pay drivers in order to bankroll their team. He would stay at the team until the present day, where he's enjoyed moderate success, but will face his biggest challenge in 2025 against a very proven driver in Carlos Sainz. In his 5 years with the number, Albon would start 104 races, getting no wins, no poles, standing on the podium twice, and scoring 240 points with a best finish of third at the 2020 Tuscany and Bahrain Grand Prix. He ran with the number 46 in karts as a tribute to his childhood hero Valentino Rossi, but as he didn't want to take such an iconic number, he halved it to get 23. Number 24, Zhou Guanyu. F1's first Chinese driver definitely had a controversial entry into the sport. Zhou moved to Europe early on in his career in order to join a more competitive environment and lived in Sheffield. I feel sorry for the guy. He would have success in karts before moving to cars and coming second in the Italian F4 Championship in 2015. He would then follow this up with not much success, but still progressed through the ranks of motorsport, reaching F2 after winning just 2 races in 3 years of F3. Nevertheless, he would come 7th in his debut year and go up to 6th the following one, before eventually finishing 3rd in his 3rd attempt at F2. With this, Alfa Romeo signed him and not the champion Oscar Piastri with the F1 world in outrage. He got the seat over Piastri because of his backing, unsurprisingly. Well, in his first year, he didn't really impress, even though people like to think his 6 points compared to Bottas's 49 is good. He would score another 6 points in 2023 and was a lot better, being much closer to Bottas and being more consistent, although the car was much worse. But in 2024, he managed to regress, being beaten by Bottas all year apart from a great drive at the Qatar Grand Prix, which earned him and the team their first points of the year when the car was even worse than before. Unfortunately for him, his backing ran out, and so did his talent, with Sauber getting bored and signing a rookie who actually won F2 in his place. In his 3 years with the number, he started 68 races, getting 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums, and scoring 16 points, with a best finish of 8th at the 2022 Canadian and 2024 Qatar Grand Prix. He chose the number to honour his sporting hero Kobe Bryant, who wore the number 24 for the LA Lakers. Number 25, Jean-Eric Vergne. Vergne had already raced in F1 for 2 years before 2014 rolled around and proved himself to be a very decent driver with a good shot at the main Red Bull seat should it ever appear. A second place in the 2011 Formula Renault 3.5 series earned him a seat with Toro Rosso in 2012, where he went 1-1 with teammate Ricciardo. While the Australian earned the seat in 2014 when Mark Webber retired, Vergne stayed put in the sister team for another year. In the first race of 2014, Vergne qualified 6th and finished 8th after Ricciardo was disqualified. He would not score again until the 7th race in Canada, where he would come 8th again. He would score points 5 more times in this season, as his teammate only got 2 in the same period, in a good year where he outscored Kvyat 22-8. With Vettel leaving the main team for Ferrari in 2015, this meant that Vergne would join Red Bull. He did not join Red Bull. Kvyat got the seat because Vergne had already announced he was leaving the team when Vettel surprisingly left, and after that, it was the reserved role at Ferrari for him. He would go on to show his undeniable talent in his post-F1 career, winning the Formula E Championship twice and coming 3rd another time, juggling this series with WEC. In his 1 year with the number, he started 19 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 22 points with the highest finish of 6th at the 2014 Singapore Grand Prix. He chose the number because he was born on the 25th of April. Number 26, Daniel Kvyat. Verne's rookie teammate in 2014 chose the next number after 25, and coincidentally, he was actually born on the 26th of April, one day after Verne, although this was not the reason he chose it. Kvyat came into F1 in 2014 after winning the GP3 series in 2013, as well as getting great results in most of his other junior categories. His first year would see him score points 5 times before earning a promotion to the main team in 2015. The Red Bull was especially bad in 2015, and with that, he actually beat Ricciardo, although it wasn't exactly high stakes, and got his first podium in this year. The next year would start off strong as he got a podium in China and got called a torpedo by Vettel, who he would then crash into twice in the following race in Russia. Red Bull used this as a good reason to drop him, and so he was replaced by Max Verstappen and moved back to the sister team. He would have a shaky rest of the year, being involved in incidents and not scoring many points. 2017 followed a similar pattern, and at the end of the year he was released by Red Bull. After a year out with Ferrari, the torpedo would return with Toro Rosso in 2019, where he was much improved. There were less mistakes and he was more consistent, managing his first podium since 2016 in a chaotic wet race at Germany, which helped him to a contract extension in 2020. Although he did do alright, it wasn't amazing, and while Gasly won a race, Kvyat wasn't really impressive and only had one real standout race with a 4th in Imola. At the end of the year, he was dropped and replaced by Yuki Tsunoda and wouldn't be able to find a seat. In his 6 years with the number, he started 110 races, getting no wins, no poles, standing on the podium 3 times and scoring 202 points with the highest finish of 2nd at the 2015 Hungarian Grand Prix. He said that he found the concept of picking a number because of a backstory boring, and that he needs to make it successful himself, thus picking a number that hadn't been used since 1995. Number 27, Nico Hülkenberg. The driver with the most race starts without a podium was already an established one when personal numbers were introduced in 2014. After winning the GP2 title in 2009, Williams signed him for 2010, where he had an alright season and actually got a pole, before being dropped for the country of Venezuela in 2011 and moving to Force India as reserve driver. In 2012, he had a strong season with Force India before moving to Sauber in 2013, once again performing well. He would rejoin the Force India team, where he would stay until 2017 when he went to Renault. Once again, he was strong, beating his various teammates before being stopped by Daniel Ricciardo in 2019, which earned him his retirement from F1 in unfair circumstances. This was until COVID happened, and he actually managed to race in 3 Grand Prix for the Racing Point team, finishing well in all the ones he actually started. He would get another 2 races with the same team in 2022 when Vettel caught COVID at the start of the season, before being taken on for a full-time drive by Haas in 2023. Here, he would impress once again and show that he hadn't lost any of his speed, performing incredibly in qualifying but being held back by a shoddy car. 2024 was much better though, as with the car's issues sorted out, Hülkenberg was able to flex his muscles, narrowly missing out on another best of the rest finish to Gasly, but performing well throughout the season. This would earn him a seat with Sauber for 2025 and to stay as they became Audi in 2026. In his 10 years with the number, he has started 172 races, getting 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums and 435 points, with the highest finish of 4th at the 2016 Belgian Grand Prix. He chose the number because it's his birthday and month added together, the 19th of August. Number 28, Will Stevens. After his one-off appearance for Caterham in 2014, Will Stevens would receive a full-time drive in 2015 with the backmarker Marussia team. His crowning achievement in the junior formulas was a 4th place in the 2013 Formula Renault 3.5 series, and after a 6th place the following year plus a year of test driving for Caterham, he was given his debut at their final race in F1. Although he did pay 500 grand for it. Due to his financial backing, Marussia really needed someone like him to drive at the back while also funding the team, and as such he completed a full season. But come the end of the season, Manor decided to compete in WEC, and gave Stevens a drive in it in turn, as he was dropped from the F1 team. He would win in class in both the 2017 and 2022 Le Mans race, and he was signed to McLaren in 2018 as a test and development driver, where he remains to this day. In his 1 year with the number, Stevens started 17 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and no points, with the best finish of 13th at the 2015 British Grand Prix. He chose the number because it was associated with his significant sponsor Roberto Merch, who provided the funding required to let him race a full season in 2015, and this was picked in order to recognise their efforts. Number 28, Brendan Hartley. As a member of the Red Bull Driver Academy, Hartley took an unconventional route to F1. He came 3rd in the 2005 Toyota Racing Series before moving to Europe to compete. He won the Formula Renault Eurocup in 2007 before coming 3rd in British F3, earning a test driver role with Toro Rosso in 2008. After trying his hand at GP2 a couple of times to limited success, albeit limited driving opportunities, he would move to the Le Mans Series, eventually winning the 2015 WEC Championship in LMP1s and coming 1st in Le Mans 2 years later. After 4 forging out a great career in sports cars, Hartley was awarded with a seat at the back end of the 2017 season before racing a full year in 2018. His full year in 2018 was very mixed, with him driving alright but not getting much reward for it, as a lot of DNFs and mechanical failures as well as a kind of slow car hampered his progress. Gasly ended up scoring 29 points as Hartley only got 4, which doesn't look good but shows how well Pierre did in that shitbox and how unlucky Hartley got. F1 was just not for him though, but he had accomplished his dream of racing in the series and would not be re-signed for 2019. In his 2 years with the number, he started 24 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and 4 points with a best finish of 9th at the 2018 United States Grand Prix. He chose the number as he had previously used it in karts when he first started out and used it throughout his career. Number 28. Alex Palou. Our first free practice driver of the video goes to the successful and controversial IndyCar champion Alex Palou. Probably a good time to mention how the practice numbers work because the drivers don't always pick what they use. When permanent numbers were introduced in 2014, each team were given 2 consecutive race numbers, but these were able to be claimed by actual drivers. For instance, McLaren originally had 32 and 33 as reserve numbers, but after Verstappen picked 33, McLaren were given 47 and 48 from 2015 onwards. Since then, the rule has been relaxed, with some drivers using their own numbers in official test sessions, but in Palou's case, he did not pick it. After performing decent in European Formula, he would move to Asia before joining IndyCar. There, he had a shaky first year before winning the entire thing in 2021, 2023 and 2024, all with Chip Ganassi Racing. It wasn't without controversy though, as after Palou claimed his team had fabricated a quote in a press release for his contract extension, McLaren would then announce that they had signed Palou. It was settled out of court, with Palou continuing with Chip Ganassi in IndyCar and McLaren letting him test their F1 car. This was all before his one-off FP1 session in practice for the 2022 United States Grand Prix. He would finish with a time good enough for 17th, calling the car insane. He would later tell McLaren that he had no intention of honouring his contract, stating that they couldn't guarantee him a seat in F1 and he wasn't interested in waiting around until someone got hurt to get his chance. Number 28. Pato O'Ward. In 2017, O'Ward would win IMSA before graduating to IndyCar after an Indy Lights title in 2018. He would enjoy moderate success in this series, finishing 3rd once, 4th twice, and 5th and 7th once, with his best years coming with the Arrow McLaren team. As a result, he was given an FP1 with McLaren in the 2022 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, posting a time good enough for 18th place. Number 28, Ryo Hirakawa. The final McLaren FP1 driver with number 28, Hirakawa had already had a great career both domestically and internationally. He would win Super GT in 2017 and come 2nd in his next 3 seasons, earning a seat with Toyota in hypercars. He would join McLaren as a test and reserve driver in 2024 and is signed on with Alpine for the 2025 season. He would make his FP1 debut in the 2024 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, posting a time good enough for 14th place, and took part in post-season testing with Haas due to their connections with Toyota. Number 29, Pato O'Ward. Now you might be saying, you just talked about him a minute ago, why are you touching on him again? This is because he used a different number in his FP1 outings in 2023 and 2024. In 2023, O'Ward participated in FP1 in Abu Dhabi and would post a time good enough for 15th. In 2024, O'Ward became an official reserve driver for McLaren and participated in FP1 for the 2024 Mexican Grand Prix, finishing in 13th place. Number 30, Charles Pic. After an unremarkable career in F1 driving for backmarkers Marussia and Caterham, Pic joined Lotus as a test driver after being dropped by Caterham. He took part in one practice session at the Italian Grand Prix, finishing with a time good enough for 21st place. Number 30, Jolyon Palmer. While progressing in his junior career, Palmer managed to graduate from university with a bachelor's degree in 2012 and drove for Lotus as a test driver in 2015. This came after he won the GP2 series in 2014, although it did take him 4 tries to do it. After becoming Renault in 2016, Palmer was awarded with a full-time drive alongside Kevin Magnussen. His first year wasn't great as he struggled with a weak car, finishing behind his teammate in the standings and scoring just 1 point. As Magnussen left the team in 2017, Nico Hülkenberg became Palmer's new teammate, and fair to say, it didn't go well. He had a very bad season, being completely outclassed by Hülkenberg and losing his seat for 2018. The day after learning this, he survived the chaos of the Singapore Grand Prix, finishing in 6th place, but results would not improve from there. After the Japanese Grand Prix, it was announced that Palmer would leave the team early, being replaced by 2018 driver Carlos Sainz. In true Renault fashion, they did not tell Palmer that they were going to do this, and found out through an Autosport article of his abrupt sacking. A truly brilliant way to end his F1 career. Palmer would not continue racing after this, instead electing to go down the media route in F1. In his 2 years with the number, Palmer started 35 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 9 points with the best finish of 6th at the 2017 Singapore Grand Prix. He used the number 30 in 2015 as Lotus's reserve driver, taking part in 14 FP1 sessions, and decided to stick with this number when he became a full-time driver in 2016. Number 30, Liam Lawson. Max Verstappen's teammate in 2025 has patiently waited for his opportunity in F1, and with this, has now landed one of the best seats in the sport. He got his break in the 2019 Toyota Racing Series, earning a spot in the Red Bull Junior team before earning promotions to Euro Formula Open and F3, coming 5th in his first year. A 9th place in F2 would follow before a great 3rd place in 2022. While driving in this year, he would juggle a season of DTM and should have won it, were it not for a very controversial final. An impressive Super Formula campaign would see him finish 2nd, and his results and versatility showed the racing world how good of a driver he could be. But his chance would finally come in 2023 as Ricciardo broke his wrist, allowing Liam 5 races to prove himself. He did as such, but was still behind Ricciardo in the pecking order when he returned. Another half season of Ricciardo being beaten by Tsunoda followed, and he was given a chance to prove himself for the 2nd Red Bull seat in 2025. He performed decently, nearly matching the very experienced Tsunoda and earning the seat after a post-season shootout against Yuki. So after just 11 races in F1, he would be in a Red Bull seat, a truly incredible rise after being shunned so many times on the road to F1. In his 1 year with the number, he would start 6 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 4 points with a best finish of 9th at the 2024 United States and Brazilian Grand Prix. He's set to compete with the number in 2025 with Red Bull as a mention to a guy who looked after him in karts and taught him all that he needed to know. He became a hero in Liam's eyes, and that mentor ran with the number 30. Number 31, Esteban Ocon. The Frenchman moving to Haas in 2025 has definitely cemented his place on the F1 grid after a rocky career. In 2012, Ocon would progress from karts to cars and finish 3rd in the Formula Renault Eurocup Series in 2013. But the next year, against Max Verstappen, he would win the F3 Championship in his rookie year. But as Verstappen moved to F1, Ocon was awarded with a test of a Ferrari car at Fiorano and a testing role for Lotus in practice for the 2014 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He would finish 16th in the session, 3/10 behind full-time driver Pastor Maldonado. In 2015, he would win the GP3 series, earning a spot on the Mercedes Junior team, and became reserve driver for Renault in 2016. But it wouldn't be at Renault where he made his debut, because after Rio Haryanto's funding ran out, he was given a chance at Manor for the second half of the year. He narrowly missed out on his first points in the rain-affected Brazil race, dropping out of the points on the final lap. And with these decent performances in a pretty bad team, Ocon joined Force India for the 2017 season. He scored points on debut for the team and managed to score in 5 consecutive races. After a 12th at Monaco, he scored in the next 12 races, retiring in Brazil because of Romain Grosjean and almost finishing the entire season without retiring from a race. He finished his first season just 13 points away from teammate Perez and continued with the team for 2018. Another strong season followed, but the gap to Perez slightly widened, and when Force India collapsed at mid-season and was bought by Lawrence Stroll, someone had to be sacked for his son. Ocon was set to sign for Renault in 2019, but that was thrown out after they signed Daniel Ricciardo, leaving his future in doubt. With Perez having the experience and the backing, Ocon would be left without a drive in 2019, sitting it out with Mercedes as reserve driver. He almost replaced Bottas at Mercedes for 2020, but Mercedes decided to continue with the Finn and he would find a seat with Renault for 2020 instead. He had a decent year but was overshadowed by Ricciardo having one of his best seasons, although Ocon managed his first podium at the penultimate race in Sakir. Renault rebranded to Alpine in 2021, and with Alonso returning, Ocon had his biggest challenge yet. He matched up well to Alonso by season's end, finishing 7 points apart from each other, but it was his maiden victory that made this season so special. A brilliant drive against the pressure of Vettel and the looming threat of Hamilton. Ocon also managed to complete a full race without making a pit stop at the Turkish Grand Prix to cap off a brilliant year. For 2022, Ocon beat Alonso, albeit Fernando bore the brunt of the reliability, and in 2023 he got a new teammate in former karting rival Pierre Gasly. He was once again close to his teammate in the standings, but wouldn't win out, being just 4 places behind. He scored another podium in Monaco, but crashed with his teammate in a very atrocious race in Australia, and got very unlucky with reliability this year, notably retiring from 6th in Singapore with a gearbox issue. In 2024, the car was a lot worse and the team struggled to score points for the first half of the year. In this time, he crashed into his teammate in Monaco while jostling for 10th place on the first lap and was announced to be leaving the team at the end of the season a week later. However, his crowning moment of the season would be a memorable 2nd place in Brazil. Ocon would have won this race were it not for Sainz crashing, as he had already gapped Verstappen and the Dutchman was content with 2nd due to him being ahead of Norris. But as fate had it, he was passed on the restart and came home in 2nd place with a double podium for the Alpine team, who started the season as the worst one. This served as a good farewell to the team, who dropped him for the final race in Abu Dhabi so he could participate in postseason testing for his new team in 2025, Haas. His career so far has been a crazy one, and he's found himself to be a bit prone to crashing with his teammates, but his pace and talent is definitely there, and it will be interesting how he deals with the potential of Ollie Behrman. In his 8 years with the number, he has started 156 races, winning 1 race, getting no poles, standing on the podium 4 times, and scoring 445 points. He chose the number because it was the one he used to claim his first karting title in 2007, and was also coincidentally the number he used on his F1 weekend debut with Lotus in 2014. Number 32 has not been used, and so we move to number 33, Max Verstappen. The face of the 2020s originally started out with number 33, and it's hard to believe that there are some people that have never seen Verstappen race with his original number. Anyways, the son of Jos Verstappen started karting when he was 4 and would win a lot of championships up until 2013 when he moved up to cars. He participated in 1 season of cars, coming 3rd in the 2014 Formula 3 Championship before he joined the Red Bull Junior team in August of 2014. He would take part in his first FP1 session for Toro Rosso just 3 days after his 17th birthday. Then, Verstappen joined Toro Rosso for a full-time seat, participating in his first race at 17 years and 166 days old, beating the previous record set by Al Jaswari by almost 2 years. He would score his first points in his 2nd race, finishing 7th in Malaysia and becoming the youngest point scorer in Formula 1 history. A solid rookie season followed, scoring regular points and getting 2 4th-place finishes. He began his 2nd year at Toro Rosso once again, but after the events of the 2016 Russian Grand Prix, Verstappen replaced Kvyat at the main team and would prove to everyone why he was so highly rated by winning on debut in Spain at the age of 18 years and 228 days. He became the youngest race winner of all time, and it's pretty much impossible for this to be beaten with the minimum age for F1 being 18 years old now. At Belgium, he caused controversy with his late moving on the Kemmel Straight, and the FIA were forced to change the rules around it, but probably his best race of the year came in Brazil. In the rain-soaked race, he had an incredible save, narrowly avoiding the barrier, and a late tyre change dropped Verstappen back down to 16th. He would rise back up to 3rd in just 15 laps, claiming a brilliant podium and showing that Verstappen had truly arrived. In 2017, Max would see the worst of the Red Bull's reliability issues, but from the Malaysian Grand Prix onwards, where he won his 2nd race, he finished 2nd in Japan, another 1st in Mexico, and almost claimed a podium on the final lap in Austin. In 2018, Verstappen reverted back to his rookie version, being involved in an incident in every one of the first 6 races, but his season would turn in Austria. After both Mercedes cars retired, he would win his 4th race and would go from 18th to 2nd at the United States Grand Prix. He was 26 milliseconds away from becoming the youngest pole sitter in Mexico, as his teammates stole that honour, but won the race and was robbed of a victory by Ocon trying to unlap himself and crashing with him in Brazil. He ended the season 4th in the standings, and he'd only get better from here on out. He destroyed his teammates in 2019 and 2020 and kept on improving his final position year on year, coming 3rd in 2019 and 2020, with him scoring more memorable wins in both of these years. His final year with the number would come in 2021 in one of the most hotly contested titles in F1 history, with Verstappen clashing with Hamilton on a number of occasions, leading to an incredibly controversial finish in Abu Dhabi where he won the championship on the final lap. But this is a year for another video. Following the 2021 season, Verstappen elected to run with number 1 and has raced with it ever since. In his 7 years with number 33, Verstappen started 141 races, winning 1 title and coming 1st in 20 races, starting on pole 13 times, standing on the podium 60 times, and scoring 1,557.5 points. He originally wanted number 3 as he saw it as his lucky number, but since Ricciardo already ran it, he elected to choose 33 for double luck. Number 34, Daniel Juncadella. Juncadella's crowning achievement in junior formulas would come in 2012 in the main Formula 3 Championship and the Formula 3 Euro Series, winning the title in both. He would earn a test driver role for Williams in 2013, racing in DTM at the same time, and would get some official F1 tests in 2014 for Force India. These would come at 3 events, the British, Italian and Brazilian Grand Prix. Since these tests, he would come 2nd in the IMSA GTD Pro class in 2023 and race in many different motorsport series. Number 34, Alfonso Chelis Jr. At the age of 13, Chelis began karting and would make his debut in single-seaters in 2011. He didn't win any races in his Formula Renault or GP3 seasons and was signed by Force India in 2016 and 2017 as their test driver. If you can't tell already, this is the reserve number for Force India. He would take part in the 2016 free practice sessions at Bahrain, Russia, Austria, Italy, United States and Abu Dhabi, and the 2017 Austria, Hungary and Mexico sessions. Number 34, Nicholas Latifi, another Force India reserve driver, this time in 2018. He would only stay with the team for 1 year, participating in 5 sessions at the Canadian, German, Russian, Mexican and Brazilian Grand Prix, before moving to Williams as a reserve driver aiming for a full-time seat. Number 34, Nick De Vries. Due to the 2022 rules stating that F1 teams must use a rookie in both of their cars in at least one practice session over the season, De Vries was the perfect choice for every team, testing for 3 different ones in 2022, and he used 34 while driving for Aston Martin. Funnily enough, the Italian Grand Prix would be the only weekend where he participated for Aston Martin, and of course it was the one where he was drafted into Williams halfway through the weekend and given his F1 debut. As for his time in FP1, it put him in 19th place. Number 34, Felipe Drugovich. The final Force India Aston Martin number 34 of course went to 2022's F2 champion Felipe Drugovich. Drugovich would venture into Europe in 2016, winning ADAC Formula 4 in 2017 and then Spanish F3 and the Euro Formula Open Series in 2018, the latter of which he won 14 out of the 16 races, which gave him a spot on the main F3 grid in 2019. He didn't pull up many trees but still ended up in F2 the following year, where he would go on to have 2 decent but unsuccessful seasons leading up to his dominant title win. He would win by over 100 points to second place Pourchaire, winning 5 races and taking the title whilst on the pit wall after a retirement. His reward would be a reserve driver role with Aston Martin and their first in their new academy. He's still there to this day and was very close to debuting for the team when Lance Stroll broke his wrist before the start of the 2023 season. But since signing his soul away to the team that literally has an unsackable driver, Drugovich has participated in 5 FP1 sessions over the course of 3 seasons, testing at the 2022, 2023 and 2024 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the 2023 Italian Grand Prix and the 2024 Mexican Grand Prix. Number 35, George Russell. Seeing George Russell in pink Force India overalls might be a shock to some of you, but this somehow was a real thing. As a Mercedes junior, it made sense that the reigning GP3 series winner tested with a Mercedes customer, which just so happened to be Force India. Russell would participate in the final 2 events of the 2017 season at the Brazilian and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Number 35, Sergei Sirotkin. He started out in the Formula Abarth series, winning it in 2011 before moving into Italian Formula 3 and the Formula Renault 3.5 series. He would have alright results but nothing special before his 2014 season finally landed him a spot in F2. There, he massively improved, scoring 3rd place as a rookie, albeit over 200 points behind Stoffel Van Dorn, and in 3rd place again the following year, only finishing 60 points off the top this time around. He had shown himself to be a consistent and decent driver, and earned a reserve role with Renault in 2016 and 17. In 2018 though, with Massa leaving the sport for good, a seat opened up at Williams, and in a post-season half-day test with the team, he impressed them with his pace, work ethic and feedback, earning a full-time drive with them in 2018. Yes, he did have backing and that was probably half the reason Williams signed him, but still, he had definitely earned his chance. In this season, the car was very bad, and so he was stuck fighting at the back for most of the year and would not get seen very much. His first race would end thanks to a sandwich bag getting into his brake system, and he had a habit of out-qualifying Stroll, but often found himself finishing near the end of the order thanks to his machinery. After the summer break, Sirotkin would finish 12th at Belgium ahead of Stroll before scoring his first point in Italy after Grosjean was disqualified from the race. Solid but unremarkable results would follow this, including a long battle out of the points in Singapore which led to Perez turning into him, and before the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, it was announced that Sirotkin would not race with Williams in 2019 due to backer SMP Racing deciding to pull their funding. Sirotkin would go on to sign up as a reserve driver for both McLaren and Renault and would race sporadically in various endurance championships, mostly with SMP Racing. In his 1 year with the number, he started 21 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 1 point with the best finish of 10th at the 2018 Italian Grand Prix. I'm not sure why he chose the number, but all I know is that he must be a George Russell superfan. Number 36, Antonio Giovinazzi. After a pretty successful junior career, narrowly missing out on the 2016 GP2 title to Pierre Gasly, Italian Jesus would sign up with Sauber as their reserve driver. But his debut would come soon after, because in the off-season, Pascal Wehrlein was injured in the Race of Champions, and so Italian Jesus would compete in 2 races. In his debut, he finished a strong 12th in the worst car on the grid, but in his second race, it did not go great. He would crash out at the same corner in both qualifying and the race and showed that he could be a quick driver, but one that was prone to mistakes. Giovinazzi would participate with the same number in 2018, taking part in 6 FP1 sessions at the German, Hungarian, Russian, Mexican, Brazilian and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He would earn a full-time seat with the team in 2019. Number 36, Guido van der Garde. As you can probably imagine, this is Sauber's reserve number and was run by van der Garde in 2014 in hopes for a full-time seat in 2015. After taking part in 7 FP1 sessions at the Bahrain, Chinese, Spanish, British, German, Belgium and Italian Grand Prix, Sauber told him he would be driving for the team in 2015. However, near the end of the year, Sauber went back on his promise, telling him that they had signed Felipe Nasr and Marcus Ericsson to full-time seats in 2015 and that he was no longer needed. He then filed a lawsuit against the team and nearly cost them a chance at competing in Australia the next season, and they eventually settled out of court for compensation in the amount of $16 million, which crippled the team the following year and might have bankrupted them had they not gotten prize money in the 2016 season. He would compete in WEC and IMSA post F1 and won the 2016 European Le Mans Series after scoring multiple victories. Number 36, Raffaele Marcello. After taking thirds in Formula Bath and Italian F3, he would come second in F3 in 2012 before winning it in 2013 ahead of Felix Rosenqvist. 2 seasons of GP2 followed where he would finish 8th and 7th. In 2014, he made an appearance at the post-season test in Abu Dhabi, driving the terrible 2014 Ferrari car, finishing 2nd in the timing sheets, half a second behind Wehrlein in the Mercedes. He signed with Sauber as their reserve driver for 2015 and would participate in 4 FP1 sessions that year at the Malaysian, Spanish, British and United States Grand Prix. In January 2016, he was dropped by Sauber and split off from the Ferrari Driver Academy. Post F1, he would compete in a lot of different racing series, including sports cars and another year of GP2 where he finished 4th. Number 36, Jüri Vips. The once highly rated Estonian driver has been completely forgotten about, and it's all because of a single fucking Warzone game. In 2022, Vips was on top of the world. After being signed by Red Bull in 2018, he became a reserve driver in 2022, taking part in FP1 for the Spanish Grand Prix, where he finished 20th and last, but I'm pretty sure he was doing long runs and was on the worst tyre for an outright quick lap. Then, a month later, on Liam Lawson's livestream, he dropped an N-bomb. He was kicked off the program and replaced by Lawson as reserve for the team. Truly calculated move if you ask me, considering where he's at now. Red Bull would no longer give Vips any support, and so he was left to fend for himself, still just 21 at the time. He'd had a really good junior career up to that point and was destined for greatness, and after finishing the 2022 season with High-Tech, he would leave Formula 2 and move to the IndyCar series. He's only taken part in 3 races to date, but Lanigan Racing has them in their long-term plans, so maybe we'll see Jüri race more in the coming years. Number 36, Jake Dennis. We've got another Red Bull Junior here, but this time, Dennis didn't throw away his career just because he was getting sniped at in Call of Duty. He would take the title in Formula Renault 2.0 before achieving 3rd in the 2015 European F3 Championship, finishing 4th the following year in GP3. After driving in various GT championships, he would find his feet as a development driver for Red Bull before joining Formula E in 2020. In his first year, he would finish 3rd, coming 6th the next year and winning the title in 22-23. This title win finally earned him a drive in an official F1 session, taking part in FP1 for the 2023 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where he would finish 16th, finishing ahead of teammate Isaac Hadjar by 36 hundredths. He would continue in Formula E after this and is currently still competing in the championship. Number 37, Sergei Sorokin. In July 2013, Sorokin joined the Sauber F1 team with the aim of participating in FP1 sessions in 2013 and claiming a full-time seat for 2014. This wouldn't come to fruition, however, as he would stay as a test driver for 2014 and hence receive number 37, the secondary reserve number for Sauber. After participating in one FP1 session in 2014 at his home race and the inaugural Russian Grand Prix, he would not get a chance with Sauber in 2015, as after their awful 2014 performance saw them finish 10th behind backmarker Team Marussia, the team changed its structure in order to survive to drivers with really good backing. Number 37, Adderley Fong. The first Hong Kong driver to participate in an F1 session was Canadian-born Adderley Fong. His junior career was nothing special, typically finishing near the back of all of his championships. That was until the 2012 British Formula 3 season. He would finish 3rd in the rookie class and would move to GP3 in 2013. He would race there for 3 seasons, scoring just 2 points, but still somehow earned a single FP1 session with Sauber at the 2014 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He would finish with the time good enough for 19th place, almost 2 seconds behind full-time driver Esteban Gutierrez and only ahead of Will Stevens in the Caterham. In 2015, he was given a development driver role with Lotus and never participated in another F1 session. Number 37, Charles Leclerc. As a member of the Ferrari Driver Academy and Sauber being Ferrari customers, it was only right that they were given the junior drivers. He would join the team as a reserve driver for the 2017 season, taking part in 4 FP1 sessions at the Malaysian, United States, Mexican and Brazilian Grand Prix. Leclerc signed with the team full-time in 2018 and would go on to destroy experienced teammate Marcus Ericsson in the standings. Number 37, Mick Schumacher. The son of Michael, Mick was of course part of the Ferrari Driver Academy in the early stages of his career, and so it only made sense that he tested with their customer team Alfa Romeo in 2020. He was due to take part in FP1 for the Eiffel Grand Prix before it was cancelled due to bad weather. Number 37, Zhou Guanyu. For whatever reason, Sauber would lose their number 37 reserve number, but it would go to Alpine on this occasion. Zhou joined the Alpine Academy in 2018 but would only participate in 1 practice session. He used number 37 while participating in FP1 at the 2021 Austrian Grand Prix. Number 37, Isaac Hadjar. This is the final entry for number 37, this time being used on the Red Bull car. Hadjar joined the Red Bull Junior team in 2022 and would participate in 3 FP1 sessions over 2 seasons for the team, at the 2023 Abu Dhabi and 2024 British and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Number 38, Ollie Bearman. This is the number Bearman used in his one-off race for Ferrari at the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Bearman was reserve driver for both Ferrari and Haas in 2024 and was given a premature debut in Saudi when Sainz came down with appendicitis following the second free practice session. At the same time, Bearman qualified on pole for the F2 feature race but was forced to withdraw from the weekend due to his late call-up to Ferrari. He only had 1 FP1 session to get used to the car and the circuit at F1 speed before qualifying. He would qualify 11th, missing out on Q3 by 36 milliseconds. In the race, he started off clean, making a few overtakes and keeping it in the points. And in the closing stages, Bearman managed to hold off Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton to finish 7th place on debut, becoming the youngest driver to score points in their first race, a record which sounds like it was made for Max Verstappen. Sainz would be fit to drive in the following race in Australia, but Bearman had put himself on the map under pressured conditions, driving for a team as prestigious as Ferrari. Number 38, Max Verstappen. Once again a case where the number moves between teams for unknown reasons. From 2014 until 2019, the number was used by Toro Rosso, and we start in 2014 with the 17-year-old Max Verstappen. An absolute demon from the get-go, this teenager, fresh off the back of his 17th birthday, immediately impressed in his 3 practice sessions at the back end of 2014. In Japan, he was just 4 tenths off teammate Kvyat in 12th, in the United States he was 10th, 9 tenths behind, and in Brazil he would be just a 10th off in 6th, capping off his final practice session appearance with a beautiful save following a spin at the second to last corner. His speed was already there and his potential was endless, and so he was signed to the Toro Rosso team in 2015 at the expense of Jean-Eric Vergne, and as they say, the rest is history. Number 38, Sean Gelael. In 2007, he became the youngest racing navigator at the age of 10. He moved to Europe in 2012, competing in 3 races of the Formula Rabat series. He would progress to Formula 3 but would not perform well, scoring 0 points over 30 races, and he followed that up with an 18th place but still graduated to GP2 in 2015 after another bad Formula Renault 3.5 campaign. He kept progressing up the ranks despite poor performance because of his dad, Ricardo Gelael, who just so happened to be the owner of Indonesia's KFC franchise. We do shit on pay drivers, and while they typically aren't good drivers, they can sometimes single-handedly keep junior teams alive in the likes of F2 and F3. This was the case for Gelael, who befriended Antonio Giovinazzi. The two were polar opposites. Gio was very quick but came from no money, and Sean was not very good but had KFC money to fall back on. And Giovinazzi's second place in GP2 in 2016 would not have been possible without the backing of Gelael. As for his GP2 and F2 career, he was not good. 2016 saw him finish 15th in the standings, and in 2017 and 2018 it was the same. In 2019 he dropped to 17th, and then in 2020 he was replaced by Yuri Vips after breaking a vertebrae by hitting a curb in Barcelona. As for his F1 career, he participated in 5 FP1 sessions over 2 years for Toro Rosso at the 2017 Singapore, Malaysian, United States, Mexican, 2018 United States Grand Prix. Number 38, Naoki Yamamoto. Yamamoto was a very successful driver in his home country Japan, and would exclusively race there throughout his career. After winning Japanese Formula 3 in 2009, he would compete in the Formula Nippon and Super GT championships. In 2013, he would win Nippon, which had been changed to Super Formula, and would win it again in 2018 and 2020, finishing second in 2019. He would also win Super GT in 2018 and 2020, the former earning him enough Super license points to compete in Formula 1. Toro Rosso would give him a single FP1 session in Suzuka, and he impressed. At the age of 31 and having never driven the car before, he finished with a time good enough for 17th and 1/10 off regular driver Daniel Kvyat. He wouldn't be picked for an F1 seat in 2020 and would continue racing in Japan, where he still races today. Number 39, Brendan Hartley. This was the number used by Hartley during his debut race with Toro Rosso before he was allowed to change it to his preferred 28 for the rest of the season. He competed in his first race at the 2017 United States Grand Prix, replacing Pierre Gasly, who was away in Japan competing in the final round of the Super Formula Championship. He qualified in 17th and finished 13th, driving an overall solid race. Number 39, Robert Schwartzman. Probably the driver with the unluckiest nation pairing, having been raised in Russia and born in Israel. Schwartzman began karting in 2004 at the age of 4 and would graduate to cars in 2014, coming third in Italian F4 in 2015, as well as a fourth in ADAC Formula 4. He would come third in 2017 Formula Renault Eurocup before graduating to Formula 3 and finishing third once again in his debut campaign. The following year, with the Toyota Racing Series title under his belt now, he would win the 2019 F3 Championship, moving up to F2 in 2020. He would come fourth in his debut campaign and followed that up with a second the following year, 60 points behind first place Piastri. Instead of trying again for the title in 2022, Schwartzman left the series to become a test driver for Ferrari. He would participate in 4 FP1 sessions over the course of 2 years for Ferrari at the 2022 United States and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and the 2023 Dutch and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He was released from the Ferrari Academy in 2023 but was still allowed to be their reserve driver in that year and the following one, but would not appear for the team when Carlos Sainz fell ill in Saudi Arabia. Number 39, Arthur Leclerc. Younger brother of Charles, Arthur Leclerc is partly the reason his brother is in the sport. During their karting careers, all 3 brothers raced, but older brother Lorenzo and Arthur willingly gave up their racing in order for the limited money to go to the standout talent in the family, Charles. When Charles was picked up by the Ferrari Driver Academy, Arthur could resume his racing career. He would race in French F4 in 2018, finishing 5th and following that up with a 3rd in ADAC Formula 4 in 2019. In the Formula Regional European Championship in 2020, he came 2nd but would finish 1st in the Asian version of that series in 2022. In between this, he entered Formula 3, finishing 10th and claiming 2 wins in his rookie season. And after a 6th place in F3 the following year, he'd graduate to Formula 2, not having a great season and finishing 15th in the standing. He joined the Sauber Junior team in 2019 and was made a member of the Ferrari Driver Academy in 2020. Due to his efforts and clear sacrifice for the sake of his brother, Ferrari awarded him with an FP1 session and the final race of the 2024 season at Abu Dhabi, becoming, along with Charles, the first sibling pairing to drive for the same team during an official F1 session. He would finish with a time good enough for 18th, nearly 2 seconds off his brother, who set the fastest time of the session. Number 40, Paul di Resta. Paul di Resta raced in F1 during the early 2010s after coming through in the DTM Championship, but would leave the sport in 2014. In 2016 though, di Resta would return to the sport in a reserve driver role with Williams. In 2017, he was kept on and participated with the number during the Hungarian Grand Prix that year after Felipe Massa fell ill after the FP3 session. This left di Resta to drive his first laps in the car that year in qualifying, and actually ended up qualifying in front of who else than Marcus Ericsson. He would make enemies with Raikkonen during the race, with Kimi telling him to stick to his reporting after being blocked, and he would retire after 60 laps with an oil leak, concluding a successful but also not very fruitful race. Number 40, Felipe Nasr. If you couldn't already tell, this was the reserve driver number for Williams, and they had used this from 2014 through to 2020. Nasr was a member of the Williams Driver Academy and would take on a reserve driver role in 2014, participating in 3 tests and 5 FP1 sessions at the Bahrain, Chinese, Spanish, United States and Brazilian Grand Prix. Number 40, Robert Kubica. In 2017, 6 years after his awful rally crash, Kubica would rejoin the Renault team as a test driver, showing them that he still had the pace, consistency and enthusiasm that made him such a household name in F1 a decade before. Near the end of the 2017 year, Kubica tested with Williams and was a top contender for a full-time seat in 2018 when Massa retired. He would lose out to Sergei Sorokin and continued in a reserve driver role in 2018. He participated in 3 FP1 sessions in the 2018 season at that year's Spanish, Austrian and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He would receive a full-time seat with the team in 2019. Number 40, Nicholas Latifi. The Canadian GOAT of F1 joined Williams in a reserve driver role for the 2019 season, aiming for a seat in 2020. He would participate in 6 FP1 sessions at the Canadian, French, Belgian, Mexican, United States and Brazilian Grand Prix. His significant backing plus his decent performances on paper in F2 earned him the full-time seat in 2020. Number 40, Jack Aitken. The star of Max Fosch's groundbreaking video, "I hired an F1 driver to beat my friends at go-karting," joined the Renault Young Driver program in 2016. He continued as a test driver for Renault through to the 2020 season, where he left the team to join Williams in a reserve driver role. There he would take part in one practice session at the second event, the Styrian Grand Prix. Number 40, Roy Nissany. Son of Chanok, who famously paid his way into an FP1 session with Minardi, where he was 6.8 seconds slower than his teammate and, after spinning, couldn't take the steering wheel out, forcing him to be recovered along with the car. Roy began his karting career at 6 and moved into cars in 2010. Unremarkable results followed, but he still managed to progress in the junior formulas, moving up to F3 in 2013. He would finish 22nd and 17th in 2 years, also testing with Sauber in 2014. An average Formula Renault 3.5 season in 2015 was followed by an actual decent season in the Formula V8 3.5 series, and he would move up to F2 in 2018. 5 seasons of hell would follow, getting involved in serious crashes, receiving bans for accumulating penalty points, and only getting one podium over 119 starts. He signed to the Williams Academy in 2019 and was announced to be the team's official test driver for the 2020 season. He took part in 3 FP1 sessions at the Spanish, Italian and Bahrain Grand Prix with number 40, and would continue with the team in 2021 but with a different number, which we'll talk about soon. He was also the final Williams driver to use number 40. Number 40, Liam Lawson. This was the original number used by Lawson in his FP1 days with AlphaTauri in 2022 and his debut in F1 in 2023. He would participate in 2 FP1 sessions in 2022 at the Belgian and Mexican Grand Prix, and following Daniel Ricciardo's broken hand in the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix, Lawson would step in as AlphaTauri's reserve driver until he had recovered. He would start 5 races in that pretty awful car and actually beat Tsunoda in 2 out of the 3 races that they both finished, and had his crowning moment at the Singapore Grand Prix, knocking Verstappen out in Q2 and finishing in 9th place to claim his first points. Number 40, Ayumu Iwasa. As you can probably tell, this was the new reserve number for Red Bull's sister team once Williams stopped using it, and Iwasa is one of them along with Lawson. He started karting in 2005 at 4 years old and began racing competitively in 2014, moving into cars in 2017 in Japanese F4. In 2020 he won the French F4 Championship, moving up into F3 as a result, but there he wouldn't finish great, coming in 12th place with a win in his rookie year. Despite this, he would move up to F2 in 2022 and would flourish, coming 5th in his rookie year with 2 wins and finishing 4th in a close fight at the top all year. Following this season, he would move to the Super Formula Championship while testing for VCARB, participating in 2 FP1 sessions at the 2024 Japanese and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Number 41, Isaac Hadjar. While Lawson ran with the number 40 during his test in 2023, Hadjar had number 41 in his 1 FP1 session at the Mexican Grand Prix, finishing with a time good enough for 17th as his teammate Ricciardo came 8th. Number 41, Susie Wolff. Wolff participated in 2 FP1 sessions in 2014 and 15 for the Williams team, and thus became the first woman to take part in an F1 event since 1992. She set good pace and she was a decent driver, having competed in DTM for 7 seasons at that point. She took part in practice for the 2014 British and German and 2015 Spanish and British Grand Prix. In the 2014 German practice session, she was just 2 tenths behind Massa, showcasing her obvious talent. At the end of 2015, she retired from motorsport, saying she had gone as far as she could go, and would become team principal of Venturi Racing in Formula E in 2018. She became CEO in 2021 and left in 2022, becoming the managing director of the new all-female racing series F1 Academy. Number 42, Alexander Rossi. This was the number he used while acting as reserve driver for Marussia in 2014. He was due to take part in the 2014 Belgian Grand Prix and was entered into it after Chilton had volunteered to move aside for the American. But on Friday morning, the team applied to change their driver back from Rossi to Chilton for the race. This request was approved, but Rossi was still able to stay in the car for FP1, finishing in 20th place, 1.5 seconds behind Bianchi's best time in 19th. Number 42 was not gone though, because later on in the season, after Bianchi was injured in a crash at Japan, Rossi, as the reserve driver, was due to step in for the Russian Grand Prix onwards. He was entered to compete in that race, but last minute, Marussia decided to run only 1 car in respect to Bianchi. Although it seemed like a nice gesture, this definitely happened because Marussia weren't capable of running 2 cars, and they proved that by not making it to the final 3 races of the season. Number 42, Fabio Lima. A very weird story this. Fabio Lima did what many drivers who make it to F1 could never do and won the GP2 series in 2013. Yes, it was on his 4th attempt and he only won 3 races all year, but there were some future F1 drivers in that series and some that went on to have good success in other motorsports. Following his title win, he would race in WEC, Formula E and had planned to race in Super Formula before his contract was ripped up due to financial issues. In June of 2015, Marussia announced Lima's signature as he became the team's official reserve for the season. He would only participate in one FP1 session though, which came at the 2015 Hungarian Grand Prix, where he finished 19th, nearly a second behind 18th place teammate Will Stevens. The once GP2 champion would try his hand in the Ferrari Challenge Series after his failed F1 journey and won a few races, but he wouldn't impress much and retired from motorsport at the end of 2017. Lima's racing career is one that definitely had promise but was hampered by the biggest factor in racing, money. He had none, and that was why a driver like Ericsson, who finished 6th in the year Lima won, was able to secure an F1 seat and have a 5-year career at the back of the grid with struggling teams. Number 42, Jordan King. From one Marussia reserve to another, Jordan King was the FP1 driver for Manor Racing, which was what became of Marussia in the 2016 season. Son of former Sainsbury's CEO Justin King, Jordan tried his hand at motorsports, coming up through the Formula Renault categories, finishing 2nd in the 2.0 edition in 2012, as well as getting 5th in the Toyota Racing Series that same year. He would enter into the main Formula 3 championship in 2013 and finished a strong 6th in his debut year, winning British F3 alongside this. Another season of F3 would follow, but he fell a few places down to 7th, beating out the likes of Felix Rosenquist, Nicholas Latifi and Jake Dennis. His 2 decent years would earn him a spot in GP2 where he got 1 podium on the way to a 12th place finish. In 2016, he improved, getting 5 podiums and finishing 7th in the standings, and it was in this year that he would act as the main test driver for Manor in F1. He would participate in 2 FP1 sessions at the 2016 United States and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, beating Ocon by 1.8 seconds in the US and losing out by a second to Wehrlein in the Middle East. Following his testing in F1 and a strong GP2 season, he was kept on for 2017 where he finished 11th overall. In 2018, he would race in IndyCar before returning to F2 for a final year in 2019, getting 2 podiums and finishing 9th overall. He wanted to race in British touring cars in 2022, but that never materialised due to his other roles in motorsports, as he had been the simulator driver for Alpine since 2020 and is currently Mahindra's reserve in Formula E. Number 42, Fredrik Vesti. Vesti started karting competitively at 10 years old and would make it out of the slums of Denmark after coming 2nd in Danish F4. A move to mainland Europe would follow and a 4th place in ADAC Formula 4 in 2018. He would then win the 2019 FRECA Championship, earning a spot in F3 where he would score successive 4th place finishes before a move to F2 in 2022. His rookie season would end in 9th place before challenging for the title in his sophomore year. He joined the Mercedes junior team in 2021 and used the number 42 in the 2023 Mexican and Abu Dhabi FP1 sessions. He would not continue in F2 after his 2nd place finish and would serve as Mercedes' reserve driver in 2024 while competing in the European Le Mans Series. Number 43, Franco Colapinto. The first Argentinian driver since 2003 became a fan favourite immediately after replacing Logan Sargent at Williams, and his journey there was an incredible rise. After he started karting at 9, he moved to Italy by himself at 14 years old to pursue his career in racing. He made his debut in cars at the end of 2018, winning 1 race, getting 2 poles and podiums in just 4 races. He showed a lot of promise in his brief debut and raced a full season the following year, winning the whole thing. In Formula Renault Eurocup in 2020, he finished 3rd, also achieving that result in the Toyota Racing Series, which gave him a chance in FRECA in 2021, where he ended up coming 6th overall. After a year of racing in multiple sports car series, he returned to single-seaters in 2022 and came 9th in his rookie season with 2 wins. A switch to MP in 2023 brought him up to 4th in the standings, and a graduation to F2 followed where he would end up finishing 9th, all because of a certain freedom merchant doing his thing. After Sargent regressed in his 2nd year in F1, and with Williams having already signed up their drivers for 2025, they gave one of their juniors a chance in Franco Colapinto. From Monza onwards, Colapinto would drive the car alongside Albon and immediately got on the pace. He finished 12th in his debut race before scoring his first points in Baku and out-qualifying Albon in this race. A strong Singapore race ended with him finishing in 11th place and then getting another point with 10th in Austin. He finished 12th in Mexico, but from this point on it all went downhill. Crashes in Brazil, Las Vegas and Qatar destroyed all momentum he had built up and ruined his chances of getting a full-time drive at VCARB in 2025, as Red Bull had been eyeing him up as an option. At the end of the season though, he would join Alpine with the aim of stealing Doohan's seat if he underperforms. In his 1 year with the number, he started 9 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 5 points with a best finish of 8th at the 2024 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He chose the number because of the success it had brought him so far in his career. He used it to win a karting championship in 2018, the Spanish F4 title in 2019, and to achieve 3rd in the Toyota Racing Series in 2020. Number 44, Lewis Hamilton. One of the greatest drivers of all time and the best one since permanent numbers became a thing, Lewis Hamilton is next up in our list. After stepping into a top team in McLaren in his rookie season, Hamilton will go toe to toe with the best and beat Alonso in their 1 year together, and miss out on the title by 1 point. But the next year, fortune would go the other way, with Hamilton making a crucial overtake at the final corner of the final lap to take the title by 1 point. 2009 to 2012 wouldn't be as fruitful for Hamilton, and in the final year of McLaren, he would suffer frequent mechanical failures after being in good positions and would ditch the team for Mercedes in 2013. This was seen as career suicide at the time, but little did anyone know 1. How much McLaren would progress after 2012, and 2. How good Mercedes would become once the 2014 regulations rolled around. They came out of the blocks flying with pole in the first race, but Rosberg would win as Hamilton suffered a mechanical failure. And what followed was a close title fight that ended very anticlimactically in Abu Dhabi in a one-off double points race. He would win the 2014 title and go on one of the greatest runs ever seen in F1, even if he had the best car every year, but that's besides the point. In 2015, Hamilton had the choice of either the number 1 or his own personal number, and elected to go with the latter as he won his 2nd title in successive years, this time with a few races to spare. In 2016 though, Rosberg was out for vengeance. He vowed that this would be his final season and that he would win a world championship, and thanks to Hamilton having a pretty bad season for his standards, this wish was granted. Hamilton bore the brunt of mechanical failures this year, and coupled with his frequent poor starts, meant the more consistent Rosberg was able to establish a lead. In the end, Rosberg won out by 5 points after a controversial end in Abu Dhabi and announced his retirement from the sport following this. With Rosberg gone and his new teammate being Bottas, Hamilton had a new rival, Sebastian Vettel. Ferrari had been catching up to Mercedes ever since their awful 2014 car, and they put up a fight to Hamilton, but ultimately didn't win out. Hamilton won the next 4 championships after 2016 before coming up against his next rival, Max Verstappen. One very heated title fight ended in a heartbreaking defeat for Hamilton on the last lap of the last race, just so the final lap of the incredible season wouldn't end under the safety car. Following this year and new regulation changes, Mercedes would fall to the 3rd or 4th best car, leaving Hamilton to fight it out mostly with his teammate and going 2.5 seasons without winning after 2021. And at the start of 2024, Hamilbob shocked the world by announcing he was leaving Mercedes to join Ferrari, a transfer that had been rumoured for years but had never come to fruition. The stat sheet for Hamilton is pretty stacked, so get ready for this. In his 11 years with the number, Hamilton started 227 races, winning 6 titles, taking victory in 83 races, starting on pole 73 times, standing on the podium 148 times, and scoring 3,760.5 points. In his record book, he has the most career wins, most wins in a debut season, wins at the most different circuits, most wins at the same circuit, and most consecutive seasons with a win. He's got the most poles at different tracks, most poles at the same track, the most podiums at a driver's home track, most second places, most consecutive race starts, most front row starts, most races led, most laps led, and the list goes on and on. Let's just say, I rate Lewis so highly as a driver, but me, is it hard to say you like him when he's got the worst fan base of all time supporting him. But that's besides the point of the video. We're talking about his number. He chose number 44 as these were the digits on his first kart when he started racing at 8 years old. Yeah, a pretty short explanation for such a long segment. Number 45, André Lotterer. And now coming back down to earth after that Hamilton segment is André Lotterer and his nightmare one-race career in F1. This sports car legend had the unfortunate opportunity to drive for backmarker team Caterham in 2014 for the price of €1, apparently due to a clause in Kobayashi's contract that stated he can only be replaced by a pay driver. And it went as well as you could expect. After originally testing F1 machinery for Jaguar back in the early 2000s, Lotterer was snubbed of a race seat when Eddie Irvine retired and Pedro de la Rosa left, and went off to do Formula Nippon, Super GT and compete in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It was also rumoured that he replaced Kobayashi due to the risk of wet weather at Spa and Lotterer being especially capable of driving well in it. Others stated he was there to improve the car and give the team quality feedback. He would go on to beat full-time teammate Marcus Ericsson in qualifying, shock, and race 2 laps. Yes, that's right, he did 2 laps. He unsurprisingly declined to race again for Caterham despite being asked a couple of of times for the rest of the season, and him even saying the LMP1 car he had been driving had more downforce than the Caterham. As for his number, he did not pick this as this was the reserve number for Caterham, as you'll go on to see in the next few minutes. Number 45, Alexander Rossi. Before he joined Marussia halfway through 2014, Rossi was a part of the Caterham team as a test driver and drove in 2012, 2013 and 2014. He would participate in FP1 for the 2014 Canadian Grand Prix, finishing 22nd and last, but was only 3/10 off full-time driver Ericsson. This was the final time he would drive for Caterham, as he left when Tony Fernandez departed the team and would join Marussia. Number 45, Roberto Merhi. In 2014, Merhi was a part of the Caterham team as a reserve driver when Alex Rossi departed mid-season. He'd had a decent junior career and had raced in a lot of different series, but drove 3 times in practice sessions at the Italian, Japanese and Russian Grand Prix. He was being evaluated by Caterham for a potential full-time seat in place of Kobayashi in 2015, but the team folded at the end of the season, leading him to join Marussia. Number 45, Esteban Ocon. After participating in a practice session for Lotus in 2014, Ocon will serve as Renault's reserve in 2016, taking part in FP1 at the Spanish, British, Hungarian and German Grand Prix. Number 45, Roy Nissany. This number has been through a few teams in its time, but in the present day it chills with Williams. While reserve driver for Williams, he used number 45 during the 2021 season, taking part in FP1 sessions at the Spanish, French and Austrian Grand Prix. Nissany would stay a member of the Williams Academy in 2022, but did not participate in any more practice sessions for the team and wasn't included in the lineup for the following year. Number 45, Nick de Vries. This is a number both used in a practice session and a race by Nick de Vries in 2022. He had a good junior career, finishing first in the Formula Renault Eurocup and Alps Series in 2014. A third in Formula Renault 3.5 will follow the next year before coming 6th in the GP3 Series in 2016. He would graduate to F2 and had a good first year. 7th place and a win was a good start, and he followed that up in 2018 with 4th place before taking the series win in 2019. Despite his successful junior career up to that point, no seats in F1 were open, and in order to keep racing, he moved to Formula E. In just his second year, he would win the title, all the while being a reserve driver for Mercedes in F1. Due to the mandatory rookie driver rule being announced, Nick drove for Williams in FP1 at the 2022 Spanish Grand Prix, finishing 18th, 1/10 ahead of full-time driver Nicholas Latifi. And de Vries would get another chance to humble Latifi later on in the season, because in the lead up to the Italian Grand Prix, Albon suffered appendicitis and was ruled out for the weekend. De Vries would reach Q2 on debut, out-qualifying Latifi and finishing 13th in the end. He would start 8th after penalties were applied, and he drove a great race, staying inside the top 10 for most of it, before a late safety car caused by Ricciardo pulling over ended the race under cautions. De Vries would cross the line in 9th place, securing 2 well-earned points and putting him above full-time driver Latifi in the standings as he finished 15th. This performance, coupled with his experience as a driver and good career up to that point, earned him his full-time seat with AlphaTauri in 2023, and we all know how that went. Number 45, Logan Sargent. Logan would join the Williams Academy in 2021, and they would help him finance a season in F2 for 2022. Alongside this, he would drive in a post-season test using an old Williams car and made his debut in the first practice session of the 2022 United States Grand Prix, finishing 19th, nearly 2 seconds behind teammate Albon. A sign of things to come. Number 45, Zach O'Sullivan. Another member of the Williams Academy, O'Sullivan would carve out a good junior career in England, finishing runner-up in Ginetta Juniors, British F4 and winning the GB3 Championship in 2021. This earned him a spot in Formula 3, where in his debut year he finished 11th. But in his second year he would improve massively, finishing 2nd and losing out only to Gabriel Bortoleto. This earned him an FP1 session in the 2023 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where he finished 18th, finishing 7/10 behind teammate Logan Sargent and 1.3 seconds behind the fastest time. With all of this, he would earn a place on the F2 grid, but it wouldn't go great. Although he won 2 races in his rookie year, he would pull out of the series after Monza, missing the final 3 rounds due to funding issues. Following this, he tested a Super Formula car before being announced to be racing in the series for 2025. Number 45, Franco Colapinto. This was the number run by Franco Colapinto during his 1 FP1 session before joining Williams in a full-time driver role. He drove in FP1 at the 2024 British Grand Prix, finishing in 18th place, less than 4/10 behind Alex Albon. This impressive performance may well have been a test for Colapinto to see if he was quicker than Sargent and to see if Williams should give him a seat, even though they had secured their 2025 drivers at that point. Whatever it was for, Colapinto would get the Williams seat after the Dutch Grand Prix, racing 9 times at the end of 2024. Number 46, Will Stevens. We're back with the Caterham reserve numbers, and this time it was also run in a singular race. It may well have been the only time both of the team's reserve numbers have competed in different races in the same season. But anyways, his debut in F1 came to be because of the incredibly bad financial situation at Caterham in late 2014. After selling the team off to Swiss and Middle Eastern investors, Tony Fernandez, the owner of the team, left, and with that, all money stopped coming in because these new investors claimed Caterham was still the property of Fernandez. After some back and forth in a Twitter-like legal argument, nothing was done, and the team would have a large amount of its equipment seized by the Sheriff's Office group and would enter into administration, missing the next two races. In order to make it to the final race of the year, the team resorted to crowdfunding, which along with $500k that Stevens raised, actually got them to Abu Dhabi. Although they made it to the race, it wouldn't be a good one. Kobayashi retired on lap 42, but Stevens managed to finish, although he was last on the road and one lap down. The team folded in January of the next year. Stevens had ultimately proved himself both on track and in the money department, and he was signed by Marussia in 2015 for a full-time seat. Number 46, Robin Freins. Reigning from the Netherlands, Freins would use this number while participating in FP1 for the Caterham team. He had a successful junior career, coming third in European Formula BMW before winning it the next year. He would then win Formula Renault Eurocup before taking the title in his rookie season of Formula Renault 3.5 in 2012. This earned him a young driver's test for Sauber in Abu Dhabi alongside current reserve Esteban Gutierrez. He was aiming for a seat in 2013 with the team, but ultimately he was referred for the talent of Hulkenberg and the loyalty of Esteban Gutierrez, I guess. He would have to settle for a reserve driver role and race for a startup team in GP2 because he had no money, and would win in his second weekend in the series, also getting a second place at that event. He was ultimately replaced at mid-season and he joined Caterham as a reserve for 2014. There he would finally log his first official sessions in an F1 car, participating in practice for the 2014 Bahrain and British Grand Prix. He finished 21st in Bahrain, beating Ericsson by 3/10 and only completed 11 laps in Britain, leading him to finish 1.7 seconds behind his Swedish teammate. With the team entering administration near the end of the year, Freins would obviously not re-sign and left. He would never drive an F1 again, an unfortunate case of a driver with a lot of raw talent but no money to go along with it. Imagine a world where Freins signs with Sauber in 2013 instead of Gutierrez. Wow. Anyways, post F1 he would compete mainly in Formula E and GT cars, winning a title in 2015 and coming first in WEC in the LMP2 class. Number 46, Sergei Sirotkin. After the demise of Caterham, the 46 made its way into Renault's hands and onto Sirotkin's car when he was reserve driver for the team in 2016 and 17. He will participate in 6 FP1 sessions across the 2 years at the 2016 Russian and Brazilian Grand Prix and 2017 Russian, Spanish, Austrian and Malaysian Grand Prix. His decent experience in an F1 car, added on with his backing and a good junior career, meant he secured a full-time seat with Williams for 2018. Number 46, Artem Markelov. After the departure of Sirotkin in 2018 for the Williams team, Renault obviously felt they were missing a Russian in their ranks and signed Markelov as their development driver for the 2018 season. He moved into cars in 2011 after starting his karting career in 2006 and finished 4th in his first season of ADAC Formula Masters. He would move up to German Formula 3 in 2012, finishing 7th in his rookie year and then coming 2nd the following year. This earned him a move all the way up to GP2 in 2014 where he raced for Russian Time, who were formed in 2013. This meant they weren't great and he finished 24th before improving year on year. In 2015 he was 13th, in 16 he was 10th, and then in 2017 he finished 2nd, 72 points behind rookie champion Charles Leclerc. Yes, this was his 4th season at this point, but there aren't many drivers like Leclerc, so he's excused. The following year he would finish 5th in a very competitive field and took part in his first official F1 session in practice for the 2018 Russian Grand Prix. He would finish 15th fastest, 9/10 behind Nico Hulkenberg, and he was in contention for the 2019 Williams seat with Sirotkin and Kubica, partly down to his billionaire father, but when he got arrested that money obviously ran out and he ultimately lost out to the Polish driver. He would not continue in F2 as Russian Time was sold off and became UNI Virtuosi, but did manage to return for a one-off race at Monaco, replacing Jordan King, who was away at the 2019 Indy 500. He would have a great weekend, scoring a 6th and a 4th in the 2 races. Following Hubert's death at the Belgian event, his team Arden signed Markelov to finish the season in Sochi and Abu Dhabi, where he scored no points. He would sign with HWA Race Lab in 2020 and complete a full season, although he finished 18th in the standings and scored only 5 points. He's not raced since 2020, probably not helped by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and to think he was close to getting an F1 seat in 2019. Number 46, Luke Browning. With Williams having 45 and 46 as their reserve numbers, it only made sense that the final session of the year in Abu Dhabi went to Luke Browning, one of their academy members. He started out in the Ginetta Junior Championship, coming third in his second year before moving up to British F4. Once again, he would take a year to truly impress, winning it outright in 2020 and competing in ADAC Formula 4 in 2021. He would come third in ADAC Formula 4 and then competed in a few races of GB3 at the back end of 2021. He would then win the thing in his first full season, progressing to Formula 3. Once again, his first season wouldn't be great, but he would win the Macau Grand Prix, earning a lot of praise. His sophomore season would be much better though, as he finished third in the standings and joined F2 for 2025. In his first session in F1, Browning finished 20th, 1.2 seconds behind teammate Colapinto. Number 47, Lando Norris. In his 1 year as McLaren reserve driver, Lando Norris would participate in 7 FP1 sessions for the team at the 2018 Belgian, Italian, Russian, Japanese, United States, Mexican and Brazilian Grand Prix. Following his experience in the car and the retirement of Fernando Alonso, Norris would move up to F1, helped by a second place finish in his rookie season in F2. Number 47, Stoffel Vandoorne. You can probably guess that this is or was the reserve number for McLaren, and this was used by Stoffel in a one-off race in 2016. He would take up a third driver role for McLaren in 2014 through to 2016, and in that time came second and then won the GP2 series. Then, after Alonso's ridiculous crash in the 2016 Australian Grand Prix, Vandoorne was drafted in to replace him as doctors deemed him unfit to drive, and the Belgian really took his chance. Vandoorne would outqualify Button on debut even though it was only by 64 milliseconds, and then went on to finish 10th for a points finish on debut in that terrible car as well. This obviously turned heads, and so halfway through the year when it was announced Button would be leaving the team, Vandoorne was signed to a full-time drive in what was likely to be a flourishing career for such a decorated youngster. Number 47, Mick Schumacher. Michael's son would be born into F1 royalty, and it was kind of obvious that Mick would follow in his father's footsteps. At the start of his motorsport journey, Mick raced under the pseudonym Mick Betch, using his mother's maiden name as to not skip steps because he was the son of the greatest F1 driver of all time. After karting professionally for 6 years, he would move into cars in 2015, finishing 10th in his first season of ADAC Formula 4. The following year, he would come second in the same championship, also getting the same result in his first year of Italian F4. He would enter into the MRF Challenge Formula 2000 Championship in 2016, coming third before moving up to European Formula 3 in 2017. He would complete a full season but only managed 12th in the standings with a single podium. But the following year, he would take the title by 57 points to Dan Ticktum, moving up into Formula 2. Having made it most of the way without resorting to using his real surname, Mick felt it time to embrace it once he reached Formula 2, and in his first year followed a similar pattern as he took a year to adjust before winning it the following year in 2020. In 2019, he was picked up by the Ferrari Driver Academy for obvious reasons, and following his title win in F2, he graduated to Formula 1 with Haas. In his first year in F1, the Haas team were tanking in order to focus all development on their car for 2022. This meant it was a great opportunity for Mick to learn about everything in F1 while also facing no pressure that may have been caused by his surname because he was just at the back. And considering that he'd always taken a year to adjust to a new series in his junior career, this scenario was perfect. He obviously showed up his teammate Nikita Mazepin and beat him in most Grand Prix, although these were for last place most of the time, but suffered with a pretty crash-happy approach to racing. He would be retained by Haas for 2022 though, along with Mazepin, but following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Russian's contract was terminated, leading to Haas bringing back Kevin Magnussen. Finally, Mick would have a great teammate to face up against and could finally show off his talent in a more competitive car. While he went from 12th to 11th in the first race of 2022, his teammate went from 7th to 5th. Not a brilliant start for Mick, but his teammate did have 6 years of experience in the sport. Time to redeem himself in Saudi Arabia. Okay, not great. In the final few laps of the Miami Grand Prix, he was running in the top 10 before crashing into Vettel and dropping out of the points. He then suffered another high-profile crash in the Monaco race where he split his car in half and the race was red flagged. In Canada, he qualified 6th and was running a decent race in 7th before his engine died on him 20 laps in. But finally, Mick scored his first points in Silverstone as he went from 19th to 8th, having a great fight with Max Verstappen. In the next race, Mick narrowly missed out on scoring in the Austrian sprint after defending from Hamilton for the majority of the race, but then finished 6th in the main race. He had finally arrived, or at least it seemed. It would only go downhill from here. He reached Q3 in Zandvoort before finishing out of the points, and then in Brazil, he qualified 20th while his teammate got pole position, although context does matter here. But it was in Japan where he had arguably his worst moment. In FP1, he crashed heavily, leading to him to have to switch to a different chassis for qualifying and the race. Now, this would have been fine 10 years ago when there wasn't a cost cap. These types of drivers have always been around, see Maldonado as an example, but in a team like Haas, and when he'd only scored points twice compared to his teammates scoring 6 times, this was pretty unacceptable. His performance for the majority of the year, added with his 3 high-profile accidents, meant that Haas didn't retain him for 2023, electing for Nico Hülkenberg instead. Although his army of fangirls continued to harass teams to sign Mick, none have been stupid enough to take the bait, and for good reason. Unfortunately for Mick, F1 was just not for him, especially in the new cost cap era, and he seemed much more at home in a reserve driver role with Mercedes and in WEC for Alpine. In his 2 years with the number, he started 43 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 12 points with a best finish of 6th at the 2022 Austrian Grand Prix. He chose the number because it combines his favourite numbers 4 and 7, which were already taken in F1. Mick also stated that fans' interpretation of the number in 2018 when he did a test with 47 on the car meant for Michael, as the 4 represents the word for and the 7 symbolises Schumacher's 7 world championships. Both number 48 and 49 have not been used, and so we move to number 50, Charles Leclerc. This is the reserve number for Haas, and they've used this from their inception in 2016 to the present day, as we will go on to see. In 2016, he joined the Ferrari Driver Academy and drove in GP3 alongside his commitments as a development driver for Haas and Ferrari. In his 1 season there, he would participate in 4 FP1 sessions at the 2016 British, Hungarian, German and Brazilian Grand Prix. He impressed in those tests, and it was rumoured that he would graduate to F1 following his GP3 series win, before Steiner shut these down and Leclerc continued up the junior ladder into Formula 2. He would join Sauber as their development driver for 2017 before moving up to F1 with that team in 2018. Number 50, Antonio Giovinazzi. Italian Jesus had a brief stint with Haas in 2017 as their test driver after his short F1 career with Sauber ended after 2 races. He would participate in 7 FP1 sessions for Haas at the 2017 German, Hungarian, Singapore, Malaysian, Mexican, Brazilian and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Number 50, Mick Schumacher. We were just done with talking about Schumacher, but he's back because he did an FP1 with the Haas team in Abu Dhabi before moving there permanently in 2021. In his 1 session, he would finish 18th ahead of teammate for the weekend, Pietro Fittipaldi. Number 50, Callum Ilott. Ilott had a very good karting career and so moved up to cars in 2015, immediately entering into the Formula 3 Championship and finishing 12th in his first year. He would improve on his first year by coming 6th in 2016 and then one better in his 3rd attempt, finishing 4th in a pretty close Ford Championship. Before moving up to F2, he would finish 3rd in the 2018 GP3 Series, won by Antoine Hubert. His first year of F2 was difficult as he finished 11th with a pole and 2 podiums to show for it, but it would be the next year where he showed off his ability. A title decider would be contested between Ilott and Schumacher in Bahrain, with Mick winning out. It should have been the top 2 being promoted up to Haas for 2021, but instead it was Mick and Nikita Mazepin who would move up, with Ilott having to settle for a test driver role with Ferrari and Alfa Romeo. As for his Haas test, well, he was due to take part in FP1 for the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix, but that got cancelled due to poor weather. Number 50, Ollie Bearman. This was the reserve number used by Bearman during his 2023 and 2024 free practice sessions for Haas and his 2 race starts for the team in the latter. First, let's start in 2023, where he participated in FP1 for the Mexican and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. In his first official session, being only 3/10 off Nico Hülkenberg, and in Abu Dhabi he finished in 20th but was just over a 10th behind teammate Magnussen. For 2024, he became reserve driver for the team alongside the same role for Ferrari. He would participate in 4 FP1 sessions in the first half of the year for Haas at the 2024 Emilia-Romagna, Spanish, British and Hungarian Grand Prix. He would debut for Ferrari early on in the year, which earned him a permanent seat with Haas in 2025, announced in July. But he would receive an early debut, as with Kevin Magnussen being banned for a race due to accumulating 12 penalty points, he starred in the Baku weekend. He narrowly missed Q3 in his second start, but qualified 11th ahead of qualifying maestro Nico Hülkenberg. Bearman ran in the points for most of the race along with Hülkenberg, but managed to pass him while the German scrapped with Hamilton for position, giving him a 10th place and a record. The first driver in history to score points for 2 different teams in his first 2 races. He would then get another taster of life in F1, where he replaced the ill Magnussen in Brazil and his first experience of torrential weather in an F1 car. He outqualified Hülkenberg again before enduring a tough race, being involved in an incident with Colapinto which earned him a 10-second penalty, but ultimately finishing while many, including his teammate, didn't. He started 2 races with the number, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and 1 point with a best finish of 10th at the 2024 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Number 51, Pietro Fittipaldi. This was the number used by Haas reserve driver Fittipaldi on his Formula 1 debut and in 2 practice sessions in 2022. After the chaos of the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix where Romain Grosjean suffered a brutal fiery crash which ended his F1 career, Pietro Fittipaldi would be elected to replace him for the final 2 rounds at Sakhir and Abu Dhabi. After becoming a reserve driver for the team in late 2018, he hadn't driven the car since the mid-season test at Catalonia in 2019, and so was praised for his performance in his first race even though he finished last of the running drivers. But to be fair, the car was terrible in 2020. When Mazepin's contract was terminated in 2022, Fittipaldi took part in pre-season testing as his stand-in and was actively considered by the team due to his loyalty and his vast experience with them, but Magnussen was preferred in the end. In 2022, he took part in FP1 at the Mexican and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, completing only 9 laps in the former and finishing 17th in the latter, being only 62 milliseconds behind teammate Magnussen in the end. Aside from his Haas commitment, Fittipaldi has competed in many different racing series including DTM, WEC and IndyCar, but hasn't seen much success in them. In his 2 years with the number, Fittipaldi started 2 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring no points with a best finish of 17th at the 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix. Fittipaldi did not choose number 51 as this was the secondary reserve number for Haas. Number 52 has not been used, and so we move to number 53, Alexander Rossi. We've already talked about Rossi twice, but this was definitely his biggest number in F1. As an American, he would start his racing journey in the Americas and come 3rd in his first year of Formula BMW, winning it the following year. He would move to Europe following this and join the inaugural GP3 series in 2010 where he finished 4th. A 3rd in Formula Renault 3.5 would follow in 2011 before a second season wasn't as successful for his new team backed by Caterham. His previous performances were enough for him to move up into GP2 though, and he finished 9th in his first year while also taking part in the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the LMP2 class. He would only take part in half a season of GP2 in 2014 before being dropped, presumably as he left the Caterham Junior team for Marussia, but he would get a full year in the series in 2015. There, he showed off his talent, finishing 2nd only to the incredible prodigy Stoffel Vandoorne, and was given his Formula 1 debut late on in the year. He got on the pace immediately, finishing 14th in his debut race at Singapore ahead of full-time driver Will Stevens. He would enter 5 of the final 7 races of 2015, altering with Roberto Merri. In the backmarket team, Rossi would beat Stevens 3 out of the 4 times they both finished and grab the 12th place at his home Grand Prix to move him above Will in the standings. With his race at COTA, Rossi became the first American driver to race at a track purpose-built for F1 in the United States. He signed for Andretti and IndyCar for 2016 but still remained as a reserve driver for Manor in 2016. After achieving his dream of racing in F1, even if it was at the back with a terrible team, Rossi returned to the US to properly focus on his new IndyCar career. He won the Indy 500 as a rookie and finished his first season 11th in the standings. After a 7th in his second year, Rossi would come 2nd in the 2018 standings, finishing 57 points behind Scott Dixon, following that up with a close 3rd place in 2019, losing out to 1st by 33 points. Following these 2 great years, Rossi would never finish higher than 9th in the standings in IndyCar again, but still continued to compete every year and established himself as a consistent and safe pair of hands. As a tribute to former teammate Jules Bianchi, Rossi ran with the JB17 hashtag in F1 and in IndyCar on his helmet up until 2019 from what I can see, which is a very nice gesture. In his 1 year with the number, he started 5 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and no points, with a best finish of 12th at the 2015 United States Grand Prix. He chose the number in honour of Herbie, a sentient Volkswagen Beetle. He originally wanted number 16 but that was rejected due to Red Bull already taking it and using it as their reserve number. Number 54 has not been used, and so we move to number 55, Carlos Sainz. Son of Carlos Sainz Jr. has established himself in F1 as one of the more dependable drivers on the grid. He started racing in 2006 and enjoyed a successful karting career, moving into cars in 2010 along with a place in the Red Bull Junior team. He came 4th in his first season of Formula BMW Europe and moved to Formula Renault Eurocup in 2011 where he came 2nd and in the same year claimed a title in Formula Renault 2.0. He had a quick rise and would continue showing his worth with a 6th place in his first season of British F3 and getting 5th place in the main Formula 3 series in 2012. After 9 races in 2013 in the Formula 3.5 series, he would win the whole thing in his first full season, finishing ahead of 2nd place Gasly by 35 points. With Vettel leaving Red Bull and the reshuffle that went on after that, Sainz was signed to sister team Toro Rosso alongside fellow rookie Max Verstappen for the 2015 season. He would have a positive rookie campaign, scoring points 7 times, although his teammate would nearly triple his points total and score points 10 times. In the qualifying battle, they were pretty much equal, with Carlos winning out 10-9. As Max got promoted the following year, Carlos was left to stick it out at Toro Rosso, where he continued to impress, scoring points in 8 races after Kvyat became his teammate, while the Russian only managed 3 point scoring finishes. 2017 was a similar story, but with the door to Red Bull not really looking to be opening, he started looking elsewhere. Renault were closely tied with Red Bull, and so for the final races of 2017, he moved there and continued into 2018. Another strong year followed, even though he was beaten by Hülkenberg, but he was dropped at the conclusion of the season for Ricciardo, leading him to move to McLaren. There, he established himself as a leading midfield driver. McLaren was starting to improve after their nightmare couple of years with Honda, and Sainz managed to finish 6th in the standings in 2019 ahead of Gasly and Albon, who both spent half a year in the main Red Bull team, and almost doubled his teammates' points total. It was more of the same in 2020, where he narrowly missed out on his first win to Gasly in Italy, and he finished 6th in the standings once again. With Vettel leaving Ferrari for 2021, Sainz was signed up to a 2-year contract. After their awful 2020, Ferrari began to rebuild, and Sainz finished just ahead of Leclerc in the standings in 5th. In 2022, Ferrari built a championship contender. He finished 2nd in the opening race at Bahrain before enduring a rough couple of races, starting in Australia, where he became quite attracted to the gravel. But his fortunes would turn at Monaco, where he finished 2nd after he made the calls in the strategy department. At the British Grand Prix of that year, on his 150th start, he took his first pole position and converted it into his maiden win after a crazy end to the race. In 2023, Red Bull dominated, winning all but one race in the season. That one race went to Sainz at the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix, where he tactically used second place Norris to act as his buffer by giving him DRS every lap, meaning the Mercedes cars behind him on better tyres could not overtake him. He was running in 4th in the standings before Abu Dhabi before enduring an awful weekend and dropping to 7th in the order, but was only 6 points behind Leclerc come the checkered flag. Another strong season in 2024 would follow. Although Ferrari still hadn't regained the speed they found in 2022, the car ended up being pretty fast come the final third of the season. He got a joint best 9 podiums in 2024 and performed consistently throughout the year, even though he knew before the season that he was being replaced by Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari for 2025. Carlos managed wins at the Australian and Mexican Grand Prix and bowed out of Ferrari in top form, joining Williams for 2025 and beyond. In his 10 years with the number, he started 206 races, achieving 4 wins, 6 pole positions, 27 podiums, and scoring 1,272.5 points. He chose the number because he initially wanted number 19, but that was taken by Massa, and then 5, but that was taken by Vettel, and so he decided to run with 2 5s to make 55. It also worked in a marketing perspective, as the 5 can be considered an S, which is how his first name ends and his last name starts. Numbers 56 through to 60 have not been used, and so we move to number 61, Jack Doohan. A far cry from his number that he picked for the 2025 season, Jack Doohan used 61 as it was the reserve number for Alpine from 2023 through to 2024. He participated in 4 FP1 sessions in the 2023 Mexican and Abu Dhabi and 2024 Canadian and British Grand Prix. Following the deterioration of Ocon's relationship with Alpine, it was announced in August that Doohan would join the team in 2025 and was given an early debut in Abu Dhabi. In his first race, Doohan performed averagely, qualifying 20th and then finishing 15th in the race. He then took part in the postseason test, clocking in 137 laps and setting the 8th quickest time, 7 tenths behind the fastest time overall set by Charles Leclerc. He would switch to number 7 for the 2025 season, where he tries not to get dropped after 5 races. Number 62 has not been used, so we move to number 63, George Russell. One of England's greatest hopes since Lewis Hamilton, Russell rose up the junior ranks, winning 11 karting titles before winning BRDC Formula 4 in his first year of single-seaters. He would also race in the Formula Renault 2.0 Alps Series and take a pole and win as a guest driver in the main Formula Renault Eurocup Series to close out the year. His performances earned him a chance at Formula 3, where he finished 6th as a rookie. The following year would see him come 3rd in the series before he moved to GP3 in 2017, winning the title and graduating to Formula 2. He would walk the championship as a rookie, securing a seat with Williams for the 2019 season. Williams, being a customer of Mercedes, was a suitable destination for Russell to develop before eventually being promoted to the main Mercedes seat. In his first season, he established himself as a very strong qualifier, almost escaping Q1 in Hungary despite the car being incredibly bad and whitewashing teammate Kubica in their one season together. However, he was noted for his poor starts, as he started lap 2 behind Kubica 11 times despite qualifying above him every time. But as a rookie, no one was really fussed. Everyone was more excited about when he would get in the Mercedes, not if. He would continue with Williams for 2020, spinning out under the safety car in Imola in the points, and would have finished behind new teammate Latifi in the standings were it not for him subbing in for Hamilton at the Bahrain Grand Prix due to Lewis catching COVID. He impressed massively in this one-off race, narrowly missing out on pole to Bottas despite not really fitting in the car due to his and Hamilton's difference in height, and took the lead into lap 1 as Bottas drowned. He led the majority of the race before a late safety car prompted Mercedes to double stack their cars, proceeding to put Bottas's tyres on Russell's car. After this, he would overtake Bottas again and moved up to second place before a slow puncture forced him to pit again with 10 laps to go, and he finished 9th. For 2021, he remained with Williams with the aim to replace Bottas once his contract expired in 2022. The team improved in 2021 and Russell was able to score points 4 times, including a season-defining second caused by the farcical Belgian Grand Prix. But he did qualify on the front row and so definitely deserved a good result. After his better year in a better car, Russell would get the much-deserved Mercedes seat with Bottas leaving the team for Alfa Romeo. He joined the team the same year that the 2022 regulation changes happened, and so he wouldn't be driving a W11 in this season. The team spent the first half of the year testing parts for the car to try and diagnose its issues, but Russell still managed to achieve several career firsts in this year. He managed his first real podium 3 races into the season, got his first pole in Hungary, and also achieved his first win in a strong weekend in Brazil where Mercedes got a 1-2. Russell would finish 4th in the standings ahead of teammate Hamilton by 35 points. In 2023, Russell struggled more and Hamilton had the edge, but it was Russell who managed to secure second place in the constructors for Mercedes in the final race. He finished 59 points behind Hamilton and became the lowest Mercedes finisher in the championship since 2012, coming 8th. For 2024, Russell had a much stronger year, becoming the main number 1 driver after Hamilton was announced to leave the team for Ferrari before the season, and this was definitely reflected in the results. Although the car was a dog for the majority of 2024, Russell still challenged for wins and comfortably beat Hamilton despite losing a win to a weight infringement disqualification and retiring in his home race after starting on pole, both races that Hamilton won. He ended the season beefing with Verstappen and finished 6th in the standings, 22 points ahead of Hamilton, and ended their partnership together having outqualified Lewis 39 times to 29, losing out in the podium battle 20-14 and losing out in the points battle by 2 after Russell was overtaken on the final lap of Lewis's final race with Mercedes. In his 6 years with the number, he started 128 races, winning 3 times, getting 5 poles, standing on the podium 15 times and scoring 714 points. He chose the number because it was the karting number used by his older brother when he started racing for the first time. Numbers 64 to 76 have not been used, so we move to number 77, Valtteri Bottas. The honorary Australian recently lost his full-time status in F1 for the first time since he began in 2013, but his career is definitely something to be proud of. After winning 6 karting titles, Bottas moved up to single-seaters and immediately impressed. He finished 3rd in his first season of Formula Renault 2.0 and would win the series the following year in 2008, along with a title win in Formula Renault Eurocup the same season. 2009 saw him finish 3rd in the Formula 3 Euro Series before repeating this in 2010 and getting a 3rd in the Macau Grand Prix. He won the GP3 Championship in 2011 and became Williams' reserve driver in 2012 after initially signing with a team as their test driver in 2010. In 2012, he would participate in 15 FP1 sessions for the team, aiming for a full-time seat in 2013, which he got, replacing Bruno Senna. The car was a lot worse than the one that won the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix, and they only scored points twice over the season, with Bottas getting an 8th place in the penultimate race. He continued with the team in 2014 and lucked out into a podium contender as the Mercedes engine in the back was a game changer. At the Austrian Grand Prix, he qualified 2nd behind teammate Massa for the team's first front row lockout since 2003, with Bottas finishing 3rd in the race for his first podium. He would score another 4 podiums in 2014 and the car would stay strong in 2015 where he claimed another 2. In 2016 the team started to decline, but Bottas still found time to take 3rd at the Canadian Grand Prix and scored 85 points to Massa's 53, out-qualifying his retiring teammate at 17 out of the 21 races. Bottas was set to compete for Williams again in 2017 alongside Lance Stroll, but after Rosberg's shock retirement, signed with the Mercedes team to partner Lewis Hamilton. He had a great first year with the team all things considered, grabbing 3 wins before disappointing in 2018. He would not win a race, although he was forced to give his lead away to Hamilton at the Russian Grand Prix in order to help his championship fight. In 2019 though, Bottas came back with a vengeance, growing a beard over the off-season and winning the opening race by 20 seconds to Hamilton. He would take a win from pole in the 4th round at Baku and led the championship by 1 point over Hamilton. This would be the final time Bottas led the championship in 2019, but he did take wins in Japan and the United States to close out the year. In 2020, he once again won the opening race but didn't taste victory until the Russian Grand Prix halfway through the season. almost finishing behind Verstappen in the Red Bull despite having arguably the greatest F1 car ever at his disposal. This season would be the start of the end for Bottas, with his performance in Sakhir against debutant in the team George Russell showing his slight decline. In 2021, he proved us all right, not showing the same speed as in previous years and not being a great wingman for Hamilton this time around, but he did win the Turkish Grand Prix in dominant fashion, showing he still had something left in the tank. At the halfway point of the season, Bottas was announced to move to Alfa Romeo in 2022 as Russell joined Mercedes, ending their successful run together, with Bottas claiming second in the championship twice and third a further 2 times. His move to Alfa looked like a godsend at the start of 2022 as they developed a great midfield car to begin the year. He finished 6th on debut and scored points in 7 out of the first 9 races before the car's performance nosedived, and he only scored points a further 2 times. After this year though, it wouldn't get much better for Alfa Romeo and Bottas. 2023 saw Valtteri scoring points only 4 times, and then in 2024 none at all, with the team being a firm back marker all year. After his first year where he didn't score any points, he moved to Mercedes as their reserve driver for 2025. In his 11 years with the number, Bottas started 227 races, winning 0 titles but getting 10 victories, starting on pole 20 times, standing on the podium 67 times, and scoring 1,793 points. He chose the number after initially wanting 7, but after that was taken by Raikkonen, he added an additional 7 to make 77. He had also wanted to incorporate the numbers into his name for his brand, substituting the T's in his first and last name for 7s, but he ended up never using this. 77 is still a good number though, eh Bottas? Numbers 78 to 80 have not been used, so we move to number 81, Oscar Piastri. The rise of Piastri has been astounding, but judging by how his junior career panned out, should we be surprised? He started out racing RC cars at a national level before beginning his karting career in 2011. After competing in karting championships in Australia, he moved to Europe and the UK to continue his racing career. He raced in selected rounds of the Formula 4 UAE Championship before returning to England to compete in British F4. There he would finish second to Jamie Caroline and just ahead of Logan Sargent. In 2018, he would participate in Formula Renault Eurocup with Arden, the junior team founded by Christian Horner, with the Horn Dog later saying that Red Bull missed out on signing Piastri when he was at the F4 level. His first season ended in 8th, but he would win it the following year, going on a back-to-back championship winning streak in Formula Renault, F3 and then F2. In 2020, he was signed to the Alpine junior team, but after his title win in 2021, he shockingly didn't find a drive. He was forced to be Alpine's reserve and was made available as a McLaren reserve driver in the same year. Then in August 2022, the greatest driver announcement ever happened. Initially, rumours surrounded that Piastri would move to Williams on loan from Alpine as they were due to keep their current lineup for 2023. Then Vettel announced he was retiring from F1, leading Alonso to join Aston Martin. Alpine then announced Piastri as their new driver in 2023 and that he would replace Alonso, although it was a strange announcement as it contained no quotes from Piastri himself. Piastri then responded in his own tweet 2 hours later, rejecting the announcement and stating that he had not signed a contract with Alpine and would not race for the team in 2023. McLaren bought Ricciardo out of his contract for nearly £20 million in order to get Piastri in, and at the start of 2023, his Alpine snub was not looking like a good move. McLaren were one of the worst teams, but Piastri still managed to score his first points in the chaotic Australian Grand Prix and got his second top 10 in Monaco with 10th place. Major upgrades were brought to Norris's car in Austria before being added to Piastri's car in Britain, leading to an instant improvement. The McLaren cars would qualify 2nd and 3rd, and Piastri would finish an unlucky 4th, caused by a poorly timed VSC which otherwise would have given him his first podium. But that would come in Japan, having a very strong weekend considering he'd never raced there before and became the first rookie to secure a podium since Lance Stroll in 2017. He showed a lot of promise and considering he was a rookie, showcased a high level of maturity leading to high expectations in his sophomore year. McLaren kept their strong car going into 2024 and after a few 8th places in the first third of the season, his second third would have him win his maiden race and grab 4 second places. His first win wouldn't be his best though because he would secure another victory in Baku where he held off Leclerc with DRS for half the race without making a single mistake. From here on out though, 2 third places, a 5th, a 7th, 2 8ths and a 10th concluded a much better year where he finished 4th in the standings. In his 2 years with the number, he started 46 races, winning 2 times, getting no poles, standing on the podium 10 times and scoring 389 points. He chose the number 81 because he used it in karting. Number 82, Jack Doohan. Another Alpine reserve number, don't ask me why it's 82. This was the number Doohan used in his 2 FP1 sessions in 2022 at the Mexican and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. In Mexico he finished 19th, only completing 13 laps as teammate Alonso was sick, and in Abu Dhabi he was once again 19th, this time 6 tenths behind teammate Ocon in 12th. Numbers 83 through to 86 have not been used, so we move to number 87, Ollie Bearman. This is the number Bearman runs in F1 with Haas in 2025. Bearman started karting competitively in 2013, winning 5 karting titles before moving into cars in the COVID-affected 2020 season. He began in the ADAC Formula 4 Championship, finishing 7th in his first year while also doing 8 races of the Italian F4 Championship. The following year he would go all the way in ADAC Formula 4 and complete a double, winning the Italian F4 title in 2021. Bearman joined the Ferrari Driver Academy in late 21 and joined Formula 3 with Prema in 2022. There he had a very strong rookie year, finishing 3rd overall and missing out on the title by 7 points in a very competitive field. This obviously earned him a graduation to Formula 2 where he had another good rookie year, finishing 6th overall and winning 4 races. He would have liked to have built on this in his second year, but that was curtailed by him making 3 starts in F1, with 2 of those coming at F2 weekends in Saudi Arabia and Baku. He still managed 3 wins on the year, but finished down in 12th after Prema's performance really fell off. Due to his impressive last-minute debut with Ferrari, he would earn a full-time seat with Haas for 2025, with a contract seeing him through to 2026. He chose the number because it was what he used when he started karting for the first time. It's 87 because Ollie is born on the 8th of May and his brother is born on the 7th of August. Personally, this is my favourite number on the 2025 grid. Number 88, Rio Haryanto. The first Indonesian in F1 used a very strange number for his debut in 2016. Haryanto began in karting, winning a few karting titles before moving into cars in Asia. There he would finish 3rd in Formula Asia 2.0 alongside a 6th in Asian Formula Renault in his first year in 2008. In his first full year in Formula BMW Pacific, he would win the championship, getting 11 victories out of 15 with 12 podiums, justifiably earning a move to Europe and the GP3 series with Manor. He would come 5th in his first year and moved into GP2 in 2012. There he would struggle a bit more, finishing 14th in his first year, 19th in his second, 15th in his third, and finally a 4th in the 2015 edition, 1 point behind rookie Sirotkin in 3rd. After finally getting a decent finish which helped him qualify for a super license, along with the tests he'd been completing for Marussia/Virgin since 2010, he joined Manor for the 2016 season. It was pretty obvious that he was a paid driver, but unfortunately one of the ones that wasn't very good. He retired on debut due to a drive link problem, but still managed to win the inaugural Driver of the Day vote due to an IP address in Indonesia which rigged the vote. After half a season which had crashes, no pace, and saw him beat convincingly by his teammate who actually got a point, he was dropped by the team at mid-season back to a reserve driver role due to his funding running out. He wouldn't find a drive in 2017 when Manor's parent company collapsed and left Formula 1 for good, racing in various GT series with little success. In his 1 year with the number, he started 12 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and no points, with the best finish of 15th at the 2016 Monaco Grand Prix. He wanted to choose number 8 because it's considered a lucky number in Indonesia, but due to it being taken by Grosjean, he went for a double 8 for extra luck. Number 88, Robert Kubica. The Polish driver was on top of the world in the early 2010s until a crazy rally crash almost killed him, severely injuring his arm instead. But his recovery was even more crazy. After a title challenge went begging in 2008, Kubica joined Renault, instantly impressing and signing a pre-contract agreement with Ferrari for 2012 before his rally crash scuppered those plans. He wanted to return to F1 similar to the way he did after his massive crash in Canada 2007, but even after he recovered, he stated it was nearly impossible for him to come back because of his injuries. He actually returned to rallying in mid-2012, winning the 2013 WRC2 title and moved up to WRC in 2014. He tested with Renault in 2017 and joined Williams in 2018 to test the car further. After a year as reserve, he became a full-time driver for 2019. His return would not be remarkable though. We'll never know if he was actually quick enough because the car was Williams' worst ever and he was out-qualified by rookie teammate Russell in every Grand Prix that year. Kubica finished 12th in Germany of that year but was promoted to 10th following penalties to the Alfa Romeo drivers and scored his first point since his return to the sport, breaking the record for the longest time between successive points finishes in the process. Halfway through the year, it was announced Kubica would not continue with Williams for 2020, instead deciding to move to Alfa Romeo as a reserve driver. In his 3 years as Alfa Reserve, he took part in 12 FP1 sessions, all with his number 88. He participated in the 2020 Styrian, Hungarian, 70th anniversary, Bahrain and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the 2021 Spanish, Styrian, Hungarian and 2022 Spanish, French, Hungarian and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, with 2 starts at the 2021 Dutch and Italian Grand Prix after main driver Raikkonen caught COVID and finished out of the points. His main sponsor Orlen moved to AlphaTauri for 2023 and Kubica left the team, moving to WEC in the LMP2 class where he won the title in 2023. In his 2 years with the number, Kubica started 23 races, getting 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 podiums and scoring 1 point with a best finish of 10th at the 2019 German Grand Prix. He chose the number because 8 is his favourite number, and since Grosjean already had it, went for 88. He also said that he partly chose 88 because in Italy they say that 2 is better than 1. Number 89, Jack Aitken. This was the number used by Jack Aitken in his one and only race in F1 in 2020. Aitken enjoyed a decent karting career before moving into Formula Renault 2.0 in 2013, coming second in his rookie year. In 2014, he raced in Formula Renault Eurocup, coming 7th in his first season before winning it the next year around, and claimed the title in the Formula Renault 2.0 Alps Championship. He moved up to GP3 in 2016, coming 5th in his first year, and followed that up with a second place in the following year and graduated to F2. He had a quiet first year, finishing a solid 11th place and winning a race. However, in his second season, he would once again see more success. He won 3 races and got 7 podiums on his way to 5th in the standings and joined Williams to become their reserve driver in 2020. He would continue in F2, finishing 14th in the standings, but his main highlight of the year came in December when he was chosen to replace George Russell as he went to Mercedes for the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix. Aitken stated he had been ready since March for such an opportunity and qualified for the race in 18th, under a 10th behind full-time driver Latifi. He drove a solid race in the worst car on the grid before late on, while running in 15th, spun at the final corner, hit a barrier and broke off his front wing. His little incident basically led to the downfall of George Russell's debut, as this was the point where Mercedes double stacked the cars and put Bottas's tyres on Russell's car. Aitken eventually finished 16th, only ahead of one other car. It was unknown whether Hamilton would return for the final race in Abu Dhabi a week later, so Aitken performed media duties on Thursday before Lewis was past fit and returned to Mercedes, with Russell rejoining Williams. Aitken continued with Williams as their reserve driver in 2021, taking part in one more session at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and finishing ahead of Latifi by 6 milliseconds in 17th place. He remained as reserve for 2022 but did not take part in any further sessions, and at the start of 2023 he left Williams in order to focus on his sports car career. There he had minor success, with his best season probably coming in 2024 in IMSA while driving in the GTP class and finishing 4th in the standings. His sports car career is remembered most for the massive crash he suffered in Belgium though. After crashing into a barrier at Radion, he bounced back onto the track and stopped before being hit from behind by another driver, thus causing 2 more cars to get involved in the incident. The accident was very bad and the car was destroyed, but for Aitken, he got out with a broken collarbone, a fractured vertebra and a small lung bruise. He chose number 89 as it was the first he used in karting. Numbers 90 to 93 have not been used, and so we move to number 94, Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein had a very successful karting career, winning 16 titles before moving into ADAC Formula Masters in 2010. He finished 6th in his rookie season before winning the championship in 2011. 2012 saw him finish 2nd in the Formula 3 Euro Series and 4th in European F3, with a 4th at Macau. In 2013, he split another season of F3 with DTM and won 1 time in 10 races in 2014. But in 2015, he won the whole thing at 21 before announcing his move to Formula 1 with Manor in 2016. He had been a Mercedes reserve since 2014 and was their first junior driver. In return for signing Wehrlein, Manor would get access to Mercedes' wind tunnel, a win-win as Pascal instantly impressed. In the backmarker team, he managed the team's only point of the season at Austria with a 10th place. This put Manor in prize money positions, which would have given them $30 million and undoubtedly kept them in F1. Unfortunately for them though, Sauber would score 2 points in Brazil to drop Manor back down to 11th, where they would finish the year. The team folded early into 2017. Wehrlein had thoroughly impressed in the backmarker and was considered by Mercedes to replace Rosberg when he shockingly retired from F1, but Bottas was preferred. This led him to sign with Sauber for 2017, and he once again drove a lovely looking car. He would miss the first 2 races of the year due to an injury he sustained in a crash at the Race of Champions, but returned for the 3rd race in Bahrain. He finished 11th on his debut for the team and got points in his 3rd race in Spain, getting 1 more points finish in the year in the worst car on the grid, as his teammate got none. At the end of the year, having beaten Ericsson in both qualifying and the majority of races, he was replaced by Leclerc for 2018, with Ericsson somehow keeping his seat. He would return to DTM in 2018 while also starting his Formula E career. He would join Ferrari as a development driver for 2019 and 20, but that saw no more opportunities back into the sport. He would continue in Formula E for 1920, only doing 5 races before competing full-time in 2021 onwards. He would be a mainstay in the championship after joining Porsche in 2021, going from 11th in the standings to 10th, to 4th, and then to 1st in the 23-24 season after a close battle with Mitch Evans for the whole year. He was the final driver to be stopped by the wrath of Marcus Ericsson's backing, and unfortunately didn't get more chances in F1 because of this, but beat all his teammates, which is the least he could have done. In his 2 years with the number, he started 39 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 6 points with a best finish of 8th at the 2017 Spanish Grand Prix. He chose the number in reference to his birth year, 1994, and to be honest, I'm surprised more drivers haven't elected for this approach because it would lead to some pretty cool numbers. Number 97, Robert Schwartzman. This is the number used by the Israeli-Russian supporter of mass genocide, Robert Schwartzman, when he drove for Kick Sauber for FP1 at the 2024 Dutch Grand Prix. After being released from the Ferrari Academy in 2023, he continued as the reserve driver for that team in 2023 and 2024. This meant he got one more FP1 session with Sauber, a customer of Ferrari. He finished in 16th, 7/10 behind teammate Zhou. In this session, he obtained a 5-place grid penalty for overtaking under double yellow flags, which can only be served if he actually competes in a race. After signing with Prema Racing and IndyCar, Schwartzman fully left Ferrari and will race in his first full season alongside Callum Ilott for the 2025 IndyCar season. And talking about Ilott, number 98, Callum Ilott. This is the number used by Ilott during his 2 FP1 sessions for Alfa Romeo. This came about in 2021, 1 year after being snubbed by Haas for Mazepin, and drove at the Portuguese and Austrian Grand Prix in that year. In Portugal, Ilott finished 17th, 5/10 behind Raikkonen, and 16th in Austria, 1 second behind Kimi. He served as Alfa Romeo's reserve driver for the 2022 Miami Grand Prix, but would not participate in a session as at that point he had already signed up full-time for an IndyCar team. Since joining the series, he's completed 2 full seasons, finishing 20th in 2022 and 16th in 2023. He would compete for Team Jota in WEC in the hypercar class, finishing 7th in 2024, and is competing in IMSA in the LMP2 class in 2025. Number 98, Theo Pourchaire. You can probably guess that this is the reserve number for Alfa Romeo, and Pourchaire was supposed to be the next great driver for the team. He won 12 karting titles as a kid, graduating to French F4 in 2018 and finishing 3rd overall as a rookie. The following year he would move to ADAC Formula 4 and won the title in his rookie year. The rise of Pourchaire would continue in his first season of F3, coming 2nd in his rookie year and losing out to another rookie in Piastri by 3 points. By the time he was promoted by the team to F2 in 2021, Pourchaire was 17 and became the youngest driver ever to take an F2 pole in Monaco. He then won the feature race by nearly 3 seconds to become the youngest driver to win an F2/GP2 race, taking over Lando Norris's record. He ended the year 5th, and it was one that established Pourchaire as Sauber's next great hope, as he was the best prospect coming through their academy. In 2022 he finished 2nd, but was criticised for his final position as Drugovich was over 100 points ahead in 1st. But I guess these are the expectations you face as an 18-year-old racing in the ladder just below F1. The following year though, in his 3rd attempt, Pourchaire won the F2 title for Mercedes junior Frederick Vesti in a very good season. But he was once again criticised as he only won 1 race all year, and it took him 3 years to finally take the title. For Pourchaire though, he had finally ironed out his consistency, and due to him getting 6 second places on the year and a further 3 thirds, he won out by 11 points. A great junior career, but somehow he didn't find a seat on the grid. Maybe down to Sauber not trusting him or money troubles, who knows. Anyways, he did serve as the team's reserve driver in 2022 and 2023, and in that time he did 3 FP1 sessions at the 2022 United States and the 2023 Mexican and Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. In other motorsport, Pourchaire was set to compete in Super Formula in 2024 before pulling out in order to race in IndyCar. There, he wouldn't have a good time as his short career in the series ended with him receiving death threats and abusive messages after making a dumb overtake, and he was released by McLaren soon after. This concluded a pretty bad 2024 for Pourchaire, and when it came to picking the drivers who would join in 2025, Pourchaire was cast off to the side and not even considered, and is set to be a test and development driver for Peugeot in WEC. A far cry from where this star should have ended up, but I guess it's a case of right place, wrong time. Number 98, Roberto Merhi. The driver who infamously made his F2 debut after having already raced in F1 was a weird case for the struggling man at Marussia. In 2007, Merhi competed in his first Formula Renault Euro Cup Championship, finishing 18th before coming 4th the next year alongside a Formula Renault 2.0 campaign. He finished 7th in the Formula 3 Euro Series before coming 5th the following year with a 6th in the inaugural GP3 Series. But his best year came in 2011 where he won the Formula 3 Euro Series alongside the only season of the Formula 3 International Trophy. He competed in DTM in 2012 but didn't score before grabbing a podium in the series the following year. After this, he moved to the Formula Renault 3.5 series where he finished 3rd in the standings while also working as Caterham's reserve driver. His performance in the previous year led to him being picked by Marussia to join the team full-time in 2015 alongside another season of Formula Renault 3.5. This wouldn't go too well though, because at the end of the Austria race, Merhi slowed massively on the finish line, leading Nicolas Latifi to crash into him while overtaking another driver, leading to a massive crash. He was disqualified from the race and and banned from the next two events but never returned to the series. Back to his F1 career, Merry finished his first F1 race in Malaysia as his teammates suffered car issues. A year at the back followed and he lost out to Stevens in qualifying 9-4 but was equal in the races 5-5. At the end of the season, Merry would alternate with reserve driver Rossi, with him racing at 2 of the last 7 races. At the end of the season, Merry was not taken on by Manor and he would race in a variety of series after his brief F1 career, including a move to F2. In 2017, Merry competed at 4 rounds before being signed to a permanent seat in 2018 with MP. He would leave the team after being replaced and wouldn't return until 2022 as he subbed in for an injured Ralph Boschung. He had one last good moment in the series as he went from 21st to 3rd in the feature race and left the team after the Hungarian round when Boschung recovered. In his 1 year with the number, Merry started 13 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and no points, with the best finish of 12th at the 2015 British Grand Prix. He chose the number because, well, I don't know why, he never said. Number 99, Adrian Sutil. 2014 was a very forgettable year for Sutil, who was once coveted as a safe pair of hands who had pace as well. He started in 2007 with Spiker and joined Force India, racing with the team until 2011 when he was dropped amid some assault convictions where he hit the Lotus F1 team owner with a champagne glass. He would be fined €200,000 and received an 18-month suspended prison sentence. He would return with the team after a year out in 2012 but would be beaten by Paul di Resta, leading to him moving to Sauber in 2014. A mix of a slow car and mistakes on his end made sure he scored no points in 2014, and he would be the first domino to fall in the Jules Bianchi crash at the Japanese Grand Prix, with Sutil being there when he hit the tractor. The following month, he would be dropped by Sauber and would have to settle for a reserve role with Williams for 2015 before leaving racing. He would be known outside of his F1 career for his prolific car collection, with a long list of cars worth millions. He would crash his McLaren Senna LM, one of 35 made, into a pylon in July 2020. He came out unscathed, but the car was He would take part in the Ferrari Challenge in 2022 and 2023, but has mostly remained out of the loop. In his 1 year with the number, Sutil started 19 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums and no points, with the best finish of 11th at the 2014 Australian and Hungarian Grand Prix. He chose the number because he didn't want to choose a low number and instead went for the highest number as he was aiming for the maximum. Sauber had their worst year in F1 in 2014. And last but definitely not least, number 99, Antonio Giovinazzi. It is fitting that the god of racing, Antonio Giovinazzi, should finish our video with number 99. Giovinazzi began karting at 6 and won 6 karting titles before moving into cars in 2012. He would win the 2012 Formula Pilota China Championship before returning to Europe in British F3, where he came second in his first year. Moving to the European F3 Championship in 2014, he finished 6th before getting a 2nd place in his sophomore year. He competed in 2 ALMS races in the off-season, winning both of them before he moved up to GP2 in 2016. In his debut season, Giovinazzi would lose out to a Pierre Gasly in his 2nd year by 8 points after a very strong season. He would serve as Ferrari's 3rd driver in 2017 along with Haas and Sauber, where he made his debut in place of the injured Wehrlein. He would stay as reserve in 2018 before he would get the seat in 2019, replacing Marcus Ericsson. His first season wouldn't be as greatest as an aging Raikkonen did a number on him in an alright Alfa Romeo. Giovinazzi would score 14 points to Raikkonen's 43, helped by a very fortunate 5th place in Brazil. His standout moments came in Belgium, where he spun out of the last lap while sitting in 9th place, and in Singapore, where he stayed out longer than everyone else in the first stint and led the race for 4 laps. In 2020, the car's performance nosedived and Giovinazzi got closer to Raikkonen, scoring points 3 times in the COVID year. In 2021 though, he stepped up as he improved his qualifying pace and made a habit of reaching Q3. Despite showing more of his 1-lap pace, Giovinazzi only scored points twice this year, despite starting his home race in 7th. He'd be dropped at the end of the season due to his performances not being quite there for a guy with 3 seasons of experience, and against a retiring Kimi Raikkonen who had clearly lost his pace. For 2022, he would serve as Haas's reserve driver, keeping his number at the Italian and United States FP1 sessions. In Italy, he finished 18th, 3/10 behind teammate Magnussen in 17th, and in the States, he crashed 4 laps into the session. He stayed as reserve for Ferrari in 2023 and would drive a Ferrari in WEC, finishing 4th in class and winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In his 3 years with the number, Giovinazzi started 60 races, getting no wins, no poles, no podiums, and scoring 21 points, with a best finish of 5th at the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix. He chose the number due to him using it in karting. He had the choice of either 13, 17 or 99, and since the first 2 numbers are considered unlucky in Italy, he went for 99. Now, that was a very long one, but now you know all there is to know about every driver that competed in an official F1 session from 2014 to 2025 and why they chose their number. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and like the video, and if you did enjoy it, I'm sure you'd enjoy this video that's on screen right now.